How you doing?
I've you know what? Fuck it. Get that
Y-
noise in there.
yes. The crack and sip.
Mm.
Is that an answer? You
Yeah.
you look like you're ready and willing to be trapped in a maze
I
with
do
no
look like
escape,
I'm ready to be trapped in an infinite maze of
where
which there is no escape.
where the focus is on you.
On me. Did AI generate me into the infinite maze? Oh, how exciting.
It sure did. Right after it generated all those boos that Hulk Hogan got when he walked out.
Oh, is that what we're doing now? Is that what we're doing? AI generated the booze? Oh. That's good. That's real good.
Trapped in an infinite maze,
Hey,
though. I mean,
I don't want to be in the infinite maze.
well, too late. Facebook put you
Oh,
there.
no, I haven't used my Facebook in like 10 years. Don't get out of there. Man, my mom will just read things on Facebook and just talk to me on the phone like they're real.
Yeah,
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I mean, you shouldn't do though. Like, it's fucked. There's just no escaping it. We're locked in. It's done.
This is the woman that when I was like 6 or 7 would say, "Now, Patrick, you can't believe everything you see on TV." And we were like watching the news.
Mm-hmm.
Is now like looking at like bees are stealing all your water headlines on Facebook and going, "Oh my God, I should call Patrick."
I had like this morning, I had a new version. It's not new, but it's like it's cemented. I watched whatever. I scrolled past some dumb, like basically person filming what is essentially a skit, but pretending that it's real type of shit. And it's
Like this.
exactly right. And then in the discussion underneath was just the like argument about like, hey, was that like, you guys know that like they're just that's not a real thing, right? And then it was like, yeah, but like it was just,
But it's emblematic of reality.
it made me smile, and that's all that kind of matters. And it was like,
Speaks to truth.
yeah, right.
I don't. Can we just get Jonathan Frakes to tell me that it didn't happen?
It was a fabrication. We made it up. Our writers.
He always so fucking smug.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't hire him if he didn't, to be fair. Yeah, no. A week did occur though. I don't know what you got up to, but this week I did finally crack into Act 2 of Cyberpunk.
I heard that this is your first what do you call it? Skyrim exiting the cave moment, and then when you hit the map and saw the icons, you were like, "Buh."
So that's not the truth. That's not it. It's more just I played the session and then I did the heist, and at the end of the session I was just kind of talking about how I was still feeling kind of overwhelmed with systems and overall information and stuff. You know, if you've played what we talked about, the Ubi style games of like, you know, seeing a bunch of icons on the map, and you know, and any open world game as well. And those
icon vomit.
There's a lot of those things, and you know, I'm sure any like game where you have a large city to scale in a GTA kind of way is also like, you know, there's comparison points for all these things. But it's more just kind of when I was like looking at the like quickly comparing which which weapons to keep and which ones not to keep, and kind of a couple of other things about just like getting used to what is I don't know what the process is, but it's essentially like it's that thing where you put up walls in a video game and realize this is where the limitations are. Where initially you kind of think like, oh, it's just it's an encyclopedia of information in all directions, and then over time you kind of quickly realize, oh, it's not actually. It's much more similar.
You would have
simple.
skipped that part if you had like familiarity with like, you know, like playing Witcher 3 or something like that, where it's like they build their play set in a really specific way kind of every time.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, menus on menus connected to menus is certainly like one way to quickly get lost in things. And another thing too is kind of like, I guess there's when looking at, for example, like with the weapons in particular, I was kind of going like, okay, what is the number for which weapon here is better when I'm comparing these two? And it's like, well, it's not really like that. It's more just like, these are all different stats, and there's
unless you're
be
getting like the same gun but slightly better.
Yeah, but so there's tiers, but either way, sometimes but it's not universal, right? Because there's still going to be like, some are going to have more slots than others for customization, and some might be customized with the things you want, and some might not, you know. And so what I now realize is, from just at a quick glance, you kind of have to just go, yeah, fuck it, I don't care. Does that have kind of a thing I want, and is it relatively in the range of what I'm looking for? Yes, then good. No, then ditch. But like, more so when we're talking about like, you know, even let's say item clutter in Neo, or any of the other games where you're picking up a whole lot of them, like there's a very quick like, this is red, it's weaker than what I got, it's bad for the class, for the slot, or for the type of weapon, or it's better, you know. And as somebody who's like, I just want to have the best single version of each thing, if I get a better shotgun than my last shotgun, I can ditch that old shotgun, I don't care. And while I'm feeling it out, at least until I want to make a specific one, that part was hard to do quickly, picking them up for the first time, you know.
Cyberpunk has some of the issues that the Witcher series has with its itemization. I think Witcher 3 has like one of the worst sets of items I've ever seen in a game in my entire life, like genuinely, because you are picking up swords and pieces of armor off of almost every single human-ish enemy in the entire game, and we're talking like tens of thousands of swords and shit, right? But there are quests to build Witcher gear, so like the armor of the Manticore, which is multiple orders of magnitude better than literally anything you could ever find on the ground or in a chest.
Okay.
So you go on the Witcher gear quest and you go, oh man, I made the cat set. And then every single piece of gear you pick up for like 60 more hours is dog shit. And then you find the second tier of the cat set.
I see.
And you're like, oh yeah.
So thus you just use outfits to glamour yourself up. But
no, there's no glam.
Yeah, you can outfits.
In Witcher 3.
Oh, Witcher 3. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. In this instance, yeah, I kind of like, we've talked and lamented about like games with like overlooting and overwhelming you with the weapons and stuff. Overall, for me, I realized like, while I was fine with Neo's, it's more like it was overwhelming, but there was a quick system for mentally discarding that which was not necessary. So at a glance, you could go down your list and go, need it, don't need it, don't need it, drop, sell, scrap, merge, keep, right? And that was because it had that overall number, and it had it had the overall number. It kind of had the part of a set aspects, and then the rarity. And you could just quickly go like, all right, purple, better than what I have done. And here, it just doesn't do that. It has the rarity and it has the aspects, but it doesn't have that kind of like overall damage number, I suppose. Or if it does, it's like there's DPS, but that might have what about attack speed and reload, and it kind of just balances in a way where I'm like, I kind of like an overall grade of each weapon I pick up for a quick mental, you know, calculation of what's worth keeping and not, you know.
Man, you're explaining this, and I'm like kind of laughing to myself because I'm remembering little bits and pieces of the way like CD Projekt's like interface stuff has like increased over time. And there's one of the things that I personally didn't encounter in about 15 or 20 hours playing Cyberpunk, but I encountered every time I did a session of Witcher 3, and in some cases Witcher 2. where you'll pick up like you'll max out your inventory of bullshit. You'll be like, man, I'm carrying like 45 fucking swords and 10 armors. I should go sell this. And every single merchant in the game can buy like 20% of that. They just literally don't even have enough gold to pay you.
Oh, because the count.
So you end up having to do this fucking nonsense circuit of the major areas to empty your inventory.
Oh man, so that number at the next to the seller is the limit of what they can buy.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that. Okay, well,
but I didn't run into that in Cyberpunk.
Okay, well, I mean, admittedly, you dump stuff off in the drop boxes, and then you can discard for creating, whatchamacallit, rarity, like
Iconic
parts or whatever.
Mods,
yeah, so it's it is kind of funny to just kind of have that part be there at a glance. And I'm kind of reminded it to like this would definitely be similar for like walking into weapon crafting and understanding equipment and armor in like a Souls game, right? Just kind of staring at that screen and kind of trying to crack your way through that for the first time.
I was about to say something really stupid. I almost said, well, Souls shit isn't that complicated. And then I'm like, whoa, wait. No, I got used to it. No,
it's very complicated, but
it's absurd. It's absurd how complicated it is.
But that was a semi-blind like learning experience LP that I did. So like you were there to explain how those parts stuff worked. And I was like, oh, okay. And then German Spy was also around later to explain stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. So there was the handhold. And then I would even say like there was the part where then you have the help button, which they added later, and that also came in handy for like Armored Core, where I was like, I don't quite know what I'm looking at. And Armored Core, I did have a session of going, all right, stop the LP for a second. What am I looking at, right? How do I interpret how to use these weapons properly? And then what am I searching for when I take them to the range? Because a couple percentage increase in speed in something is very hard to feel.
Oh man, like percentile increases. We've talked about this before.
We have.
Anything less than 10%, you'll never feel it.
Yeah. So that being said, because we've been talking about this for a couple of minutes now, I don't want this to skew the impression here. I now get it because I've spent a bunch of time off camera feeling out the game. And in particular, I've been doing the NCPD missions. So I've done a bunch of those. And that has really, really helped me put the game up in its, like, put the borders up on what the game is and what the game isn't. What it is not is a first-person futuristic Baldur's Gate 3.
No. It is your physical location in space is up to you in any way, and how you interact along certain very specific lines is up to you in any way. But it is still a very crafted, straight line narrative.
Yes, and it is an action game with a whole lot of narrative available to you. But as you walk about the streets and you see crimes or you go interact with those, you just go walk up and kill the grunts, pick up their shit and walk away. And that's it. Get in a car.
They were criminals.
Drive to the next one. And while you drive around and get into fights, people will sometimes message you and ask you things. And then occasionally, I guess you'll get locked into some, set pieces or so. But I haven't touched any of those. I just did the NCPD stuff. And that has been like, okay, this helps. The role play aspect of this is super backseat. I guess I know that there's relationship stuff, but I don't know how deep that goes.
It's like Mass Effect-ish in its complexity.
Yeah. Okay. So fairly minor, and then on top of that too, walking over to like a Ripper dock and seeing the inventory also, at least for now, created a nice, like, all right, when people are talking about you're going to want to get your fists, your gorilla arms, and Sandevistans, that's not like picking, I don't know, a hex scythe, or where it's like that's a one of many think attributes in one of many weapon styles, where here, at least initially, they're like, do you want to do hacking as a whole or throw that out for an OS?
You mean magic?
Yeah, do you want to do magic as a whole, or do you want time stop instead of magic as a whole, or do you want blood rage instead of time stop or magic as a whole? And you like, those are the 3 OS options you have initially, and it's like, okay, you're not always hacking while choosing which types of buffs, and you know what I mean? Like, because I thought like hacking was a whole separate thing that every type of character would be able to do.
I ignore that shit
while doing other stuff, you know. But it's
the
yeah.
The amount of points you get is like, you can max out like 3 stats and get halfway up on a 4th. So it's like, well, what 3 stats do you want? Well, you want reflex, and you want cool, and you want cybernetics. So those are the cool ones.
So, you know, seeing that it's like, okay, there's 3 initial classes to basically be here. And then if you decide to go melee, you can go with punches, or you can go with blades or whips or the rocket arm thing. And those are your 4. Or and you know, and then like, what kind of jump you want? You want a double jump? You want a high jump? You want a quick run? You know, you want a stealth?
Yeah.
And those are your 4. And they're like, okay. And so all these limitations have made it much like more comfortable and sort of sane, I guess, because I was like, oh man, what's it gonna be? How are we getting thrown in the deep end here? And thankfully I'm like, all right, I get it now. Very comfortable.
Like mechanically, it's like Witcher 4 or like Deus Ex had a little baby, you know, like it's a CD Projekt game through and through. It's just that aesthetic is just so, the aesthetic and the perspective, putting it in first person just changes the expectations of the type of game it is.
That does a lot for it. And I would also say that tech menu of unlocks, right? The level up character stats and such. Like, as you go into each of those stats and you see the full tree, when you're not now, like, okay, now that I'm a bit more familiar with each tree and what the major like points are on each one, like, I'm sure that's where everybody else that's watching is, and they're like, yeah, you know, you kind of just know vaguely what these skills are about. But when you don't know, and it's like, it just feels like tabs and tabs, you're like, oh man, until I get familiar, I'm just gonna not know how to do things like kind of, you know, quickly and not waste time, I guess. Now, none of this and of this the learning process of what I'm describing here is really a problem at all if you're just kind of like taking your time and going through it. But but I'm very conscientious of like, if I have to stop for 5 minutes and just read, that's not what an LP.
Yeah, you have different reading streams, sir.
I do. So I'm very concerned about those moments of like that, you know, and I feel like this has allowed me to get more comfortable. So yay, that's worked out. And in the process, of course, of doing a bunch of those NCPD missions, which are really no plot content, you know, very minimal. You just walk up.
Guy's going nuts. He's got a back alley thing. Go kill him. Okay.
Yeah, just go beat up a bunch of gangers. In the process, of course, like, I've leveled up a good bit, and I don't imagine it's much of an issue in this kind of game. It seems as if the difficulty scales, and you know, there's a couple of like checks that also scale with you as you get stronger. So, and like the first couple of missions you do, you get like tons of XP right off the bat and level up really quickly, and then obviously that tapers off. But all this to say, like, yeah, when we boot up the next stream and I come back in and I'm, you know, much higher level and stuff, I imagine, you know, it shouldn't affect too much. That being said, I also hear that like you eventually power up to the point where the game gets trivialized almost no matter what, and
CD Projekt is not good at that. So I have played all of CD Projekt's releases. They all have the same problem. They have a 100% success rate on having an inverted difficulty curve. All 3 Witcher games have a difficulty curve in which the hardest part of the game is the first hour, and the second hardest is the second hour, and so on and so forth.
And then you just get the melting abilities. Yeah. Okay. So if that's what I'm expecting here, then yeah, I'm not. It's not like it would have been too much of a struggle. You know, outside of things where like my dog should aim or whatever, you know. but I also want to feel what it's like to like, see what the builds are and stuff in a way. So that's kind of why I wanted the respec ability. I think as a result, so I know spreading yourself too thin in this kind of game comes back to bite you in the ass because they kind of want you to like go all in on one style.
The top tier perks are really strong.
I went, for example, like I was not planning to do like much spell casting, just based on the first session or so. But then when messing around in the off screen, I was like, oh, it's pretty fun to like stack up a bunch of like quick hacks and then run in and slash somebody. So I tried that out, but to do that, you've got to get your intelligence up to 9. So you've got to spend those points pushing it further than you would into body or reflexes or so. And then when I was like, all right, let me go try out Time Stop, or let me go try out the Blood Rage, you now have to pull those points out and put them elsewhere, but your intelligence stays where it was, and to get the 9 or 15 to go higher in the next screen, you got to go get those levels higher as well. So it feels like there's no real, it doesn't want you to dip your toes in too much in the like the cutoff point of each tree, but it does want you to play within what you have unlocked by letting you refund the yellow points,
And let me ask you, did you have the threat detection eyeballs on during the heist?
I think I had default eyeballs on. I didn't do any Ripper Doc stuff until after.
So the heist is cool. The heist is great.
It is.
But when you're hiding behind the fish tank in the wall,
yeah,
and Big Boy Adam comes in.
Oh yeah.
If you have that was removed? Oh no, that's a bummer. It used to be if you had the eyeball and upgrade that would show you who can perceive you in a room, Adam would glow.
Okay, well, if that's a hard confirm, that's really cool because
apparently that was a bug.
I looked at him and I was like, it's like he's looking at us. He's staring in your direction while everything else is going on.
They should have left that shit in.
I 100% believe that he's looking at you and is just like, are you doing anything? All right, whatever, I'm out. My job is...
They should have kept that shit.
It feels 1,000% like he knows you're there, but just doesn't give a shit until you try something. The way he's positioned it feels too obvious or too.
Dude, I love Adam Smasher. That guy's great.
Yeah. I guess the heist felt much more on rails than that initial vertical slice mission did.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it does. Well, because a bunch of really important things have to happen in a row. You can't be messing it up too much.
But I guess like the first mission where you pull the girl out of the bathtub, where you can sneak behind the vents and then your boy. What's his
Jackie.
Jackie tackles the guy against the wall as you come through. Like, I feel like that's a very super scripted moment that you're probably not going to get a ton of in the future. Anyway, it was cool to kind of I saw that part at least.
Yeah, someone in the chat correctly answered. It was Jake the dog, Jackie the dog.
Nice. I took the break in the lobby and I found Hideyoshi Ojima.
Oh yeah, you found the Kojumbo?
Yeah. I looked at him at first though, and I was like, because we looked at him at first, and Reggie's like, "Wait, is that?" And I was like, "I don't know, dude. Not all Asian dudes are just gonna be a Kojima just because you see him." And then like, no, wait, that's actually him. yeah, that's his. And then like he recorded his voice talking shit. And I was like, okay. And then did he announce that he was doing a cam? Yeah, okay, that's him, right?
But yeah, he's there. He's in control.
Yeah, Yeah, but it could have just been some guy, right? It could have just been some guy.
You knew.
You know. Yeah. So that was cool. That was cool. No, I did like the heist. I didn't realize that Act 1, quote unquote, was literally just the intro, you know, and Act 2 is the game.
So I'm not I'd never beat Cyberpunk, so I could probably ask somebody who's watching right now and they'd answer me before the end of it. Because Witcher 3 it didn't have like super well defined acts, but it did have geographic locations that made it extremely clear where, and like, this is the tutorial, this is the first part of the game, the second part of the game. And it had this setup that you do like 100 hours and you did all the regions and you're like, I'm ready to go into the end of the game now. And then the game kept going for like 55 more hours. And I've never seen anything do that ever.
I mean, is it because it makes the mission like go out and make a name for yourself and like that's your main quest? You know?
No, in Witcher, you have an extremely clear goal for like the entirety of the game, which is find a certain person. And then I guess I was thinking that finding them would be the end of it. But then you run into them and they're like, cool, now that you have found me, we now have to solve a problem. And that's the whole rest of the game.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
The talk up leading into this game has led me to feel like I'm entering a fucking Elden sized, all encompassing beast. You know?
I think the talk up around CP77, which is, by the way, the worst.
Horrible.
Worst acronym.
Which is why I
say it because I just saw someone say it in the chat and I wanted to bring this up.
Okay, because I was like, why? I think everyone kind of unconsciously agreed that we just don't use that acronym.
Awful. God awful.
You just say Cyberpunk.
Terrible. Jesus. So bad I forgot what I was saying. Just God, stop saying that.
I just got off of Yakuza 0's completion points.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun one to just run down the street going, help, I need more CP to make myself stronger.
I got to take it to that guy at the shrine.
I need to take it to that weird guy. He gives me stuff for CP. It's really valuable. Collection points. No, it's not even. It's completion points. It's even worse.
He's dressed up.
It's even worse.
The guy that's dressed up like a clown in the shrine needs my completion points.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful. No, the talking up of Cyberpunk is so weird because now there are two different Cyberpunks. There is the 1.0 and the 2.0, which are like very significantly different games. And I think it's really funny because I mentioned that I had not beaten the game and I looked over and saw like 5 chat messages in a row that were alternating of, you really should, it's something special, and don't bother, who even cares?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, okay, there definitely was some of that with like the fixer gigs and the side quests and some of the stuff here where initially anyway, it seems like some are worth checking out and some are not, and people feel very differently between themselves about which are worth doing and which aren't. And some people consider it to be like not worth watching at all if they're there or if they're not there, and so on. So what I kind of ended up deciding was I'm like, I'll check out some of them, but NCPD stuff, for example, nothing, you know. And anything I do see off camera, at the very least, that's worth showing. I can at least do the capture feature with PS5 and just be like, here's the playback on what that moment was, you know. Yeah, with the exception being Phantom Liberty, where every part of Phantom Liberty is worth doing.
You got to get that part where Susie runs you over with her car.
I've heard mention, a lot of people have asked about whether I've gotten hit by Susie's car yet.
Well, that's far away. That's expansion shit.
Exactly. So no, I just started the game. I just did the heist. I don't think I'm getting to the DLC just yet. But I also didn't think I'd be in Act 2 so soon either, whatever that meant, you know. But yeah, no, all this to say that
the one is like this, is like this tiny little thing, and then Act 2 is like the rest of it. Act 1 and Act 2 in Cyberpunk are the equivalent of how to draw an owl. draw your outline, then draw the rest of the fucking owl.
And I would complain about like choosing to call it acts when it's so limited, but it is true that if you choose to not do the heist for a very long time, you could just wander those streets doing other shit, right?
I'm going to end up restarting playing Cyberpunk at some point because I did tons and tons of shit before doing the heist, and I now like really regret not doing that shit.
Yeah, after
with a certain someone.
Exactly. So that was another piece of important information that helped as well when it was explained to me that there's more dialogue to doing some missions and side stuff and walking around the city after Act 2 begins than if you do it before. So really, really chill the fuck out and, you know, do that stuff later. It'll be okay. And yeah, I've already had one of those, you know, like just walking down, seeing a dude playing the guitar, and then like Johnny's got some shit to say. And that was pretty cool, and it wouldn't have been there if you just otherwise were exploring without it, you know? So
you know what's awesome about Johnny Silverhand? Is that he sucks and he's a stupid idiot. it's that it rules.
Interesting.
It fucking rules.
Interesting. Okay. I'm watching and I did that flashback and I don't know where we're going because literally all I've had is that and then waking up and it's like he wants to fucking kill you. But I'm kind of waiting to see like, so where's the good idea in this mission? Because I get the energy. And the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, I understand the energy. But what am I missing?
We're going to fight the system, man.
What am I missing where you think that this is a good idea to this degree? And... you know, and I guess
already put more thought into this.
And so that's the thing, right? I kind of am like, okay, I need to know this character and I need to understand when it comes to, okay, but what about the casualties? Do you go, fuck the casualties, this is war? Or do you go,
Don't even ask the question.
Yeah, I guess so.
Bro, you might as well be rolling with Shadow the Hedgehog, which, yeah.
Yeah, that's because that's what I'm holding out for that, you know, like I'm not gonna sign this waiver until I find out like what's fully going on in this dude's head, but so far it appears to be only music and only fuck the system and only nukes. We'll find out, I suppose. Cut of his jib though. Hell of a cut on that jib.
Oh yeah,
absolute badass.
A lot of the things he says
first impression
would appeal to somebody who's not actually listening and just looking at him be cool.
Oh yeah. No. Again, chiseled, immaculate cut on that jib. You cannot deny the appeal. And then furthermore, like he gets a special gun or implant or whatever it is that makes his melee
it's
thing.
Cool as fuck.
His melee thing is rad as shit with basically does a Kyo Kusanagi super with his gun. And that's a lot of fun. That's very cool. I enjoy Johnny Silverhand's surface. Yeah. And then I guess the other thing too as well, which I think walking around the game, picking up the literature and also like doing some of the missions, I've heard and I've known going into this, especially having watched Edge Runners, that like it is the darkest and most cynical setting.
Oh, it's awful.
Ever.
Terrible.
Knowing that, is there a perspective that is like holding on to something? Is there any candle, you know? Because Disco Elysium is soul crushingly oppressive, but there's a little bit of a candle, and that little bit of a candle, even if it's happening inside your head, is what makes you get to the end credits and like tear up, you know? And I'm like, oh, let me just give me a little spark to protect, you know.
Bro, you're the candle, brother.
I hope so. But I've not yet seen it, you know. What I have seen is anyone who might be that is too pure for this world. And you can feel it right off the bat. I'm like, oh, are you a good person doing good things for people you care about? Ah, fuck, you're cooked.
I think it's, you see this like really early. So Carnage plays a character you probably ran into. When you go to Vix for the first time, there's a guy with a beard and wearing trash bags screaming about how your eyes are poison. And if you stand there and listen to him for like a minute, he's like, yeah, no, the corpse and the government are spying on everything you do through your synthetic eyes.
Okay.
We should really stop implanting teenagers with cybernetics because they're losing all of their goddamn like free will and ability to not exist in the system. And he's like portrayed as like a crazy homeless guy. And it's like, but he's completely right.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I've seen enough of the emails, texts, and books that you're picking up as well, where there's people that are kind of more or less, you know, keeping up the fight and rallying, so to speak. You know, and then of course there's the part where you immediately find out too that like the craziest shit that ever went down with Johnny Silverhand was also super corpo backed, and like,
oh yeah, he's a dumbass.
And you're just like, oh yeah, no, they love that. They love giving the world an excuse to be like, stay complacent, etc., you know. But yeah, that's it. I'm looking to see what comes next in terms of the setting, and I'm wondering as well if the tabletop was similar energy, or was it just like, nah, the setting's wild, jump in there, you know. Because I did catch from people explaining that like he existed, and like these events all existed in the tabletop game as well, because there's different there's like 2020 and then 45 and then like 77. There's these different periods, and yeah, it was pretty nuts to kind of be like, let's flash back to 2020 when the game was named for, and I kind of just auto completed the possibility that, oh, maybe the game was based on like, you know, the early years of this cyberpunk world, and now rather the tabletop game was based on the early years, and now the video game is jumping forward. And
well, when they were made in the 80s, it was the far future then. It was
yeah, but it seems like but even back then there was still going as far as, you know, like past 2020 into like 45 and then to 77, and so because it seemed like it would be like, you know, if you had to do like like a D&D thing, same thing where you had this massive tabletop world where a ton of things could happen, you would have to then end that and then create a canonical point to jump forward if you made something like a video game that was like, you know, collecting all the
if
lore
I
together.
remember right, Atom Smasher in the tabletop was a fail state. Like it was like either make too much noise or take too long, and the corpse sends Atom Smasher at you, and you just die.
Okay.
Like it is it's like he's like the Tarask of Cyberpunk.
Okay.
If that reference means anything to you.
When you say Tarask, I think of StarCraft.
Oh, I'm saying the Dungeons and Dragons monster, the Tarask.
Okay, yeah.
The thing that has 1 million HP and you have to kill it and then wish its heart to die.
Oh, okay. It is a game over with more steps.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, Reaper in you know, in Persona, etc. Until you take it on, of course. Yeah, so far pretty cool. Well, anyway, more to say when I actually, like, you know, jump back into the game this week and stuff and explore. But I don't suppose the later game unlocks OSs that like allow you to have more than one major function.
I doubt it, but I don't know.
Okay. Because I'm like, I don't want no hacking. It would be nice to have some little basic shit and then do something else. But nah, okay. It's just classes, right? So yeah, you can't really you can't be a fighter mage.
I mean, you could. You could max out your intelligence. You could max out your body.
But the OS doesn't allow you to hack and activate one of those melee abilities.
Yeah, so you would just be melee without that thing plus your little spells.
But you can't cast the spells if you put on the thing that I'm describing.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop you from putting the arms on.
Oh, yeah. No, it's just the overall.
You could be a punch mage.
Yes, without actually having the Sandy or the Berserk mode. Yes, right. Yeah, I was talking about, like, you know, hybridizing your OSs or so.
No, that's because they're too strong. Like, you can't have like fully stopped time on a whim and also hack everyone in your vicinity to kill themselves.
Mm-hmm. But you can swing a big greatsword around and give yourself just enough faith to toss a little lightning bolt for funsies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah. Anyway, beyond that, also went back to 1,000 Times Resist, and that story is starting to shape up a little bit more. I can say now, whereas last time I said I didn't know what it was about, and besides kind of just getting introduced to the setting, it's kind of becoming a little bit more clear. And yeah, I guess since it's so narrative heavy, like, it's kind of, you know, hard to really, I feel like, talk about, because, like, the little things you find out about the character relationships pretty much are the content of the game. So almost everything to be said there feels like a potential spoiler. But it does. What I will say is that this is another entry in the Criterion collection of movies and games about, like, damn, my parents were wild and they don't understand across the world, international edition, right? So there's a trilogy, I would say, of the Asian mom needs to chill out, and you've got the Turning Red, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and then now 1,000 Times Resist, you know, trilogy. And then you can add, like Thirsty Suitors is a little bit of that, you know, going into more a little less East Asia, but still in that kind of area. And I feel like I'd love to see, going around the world, catching different countries and different cultures, of just finding out, like, how mom needs to chill, and, like, what that millennial pressure is like for somebody coming down from, I don't know, from South America, from somewhere, I mean,
you wouldn't need to chill if you just studied harder on your med school entrance exam.
Yes.
you would be relaxed because you were so confident that you would get 100%.
But I want to see what that sounds like when mom's from Nunavut. You know, I want to catch a full collection of these, because we're of that age where, you know, the second generation that has grown up dealing with that is able to make games now, you know. And I mean, I've already created content around that concept in terms of just my mom's involvement with devil games. So you already know my version of that from the West Indian side of things, you know. And that's why I'm just like, yeah, this is a fun lens, and I like seeing other versions of it. And then of course, you know, we're starting to find out as well some tie-ins to real world history, while entering this at a glance near kind of inspired aesthetic. So interesting so far, and more to say once it wraps up. But it's a relationship drama.
It is
Walking simulator type of story. But
I thought it was about fucking aliens.
yeah, there's that too. But very interesting. If you're like able to lock into like aliens as the background noise to like,
okay,
damn, why is she talking shit about me? What's up with that? You know? Yeah. Did she really mean it when she said that? What the fuck? We're talking about 1,000 times resist.
I still don't know what that game is. It's really funny. No matter how much I hear you talk about it or how much I see clips of it, I'm still just like, don't know what it is. It shows for information particularly poorly.
So
like you could watch like a 5-minute thing of Cyberpunk and ballpark it.
Yeah.
Right. I have watched way more than 5 minutes of 1,000 times resist, and I'm still sitting here going like, I don't fucking know.
So essentially, it's a 3D visual novel, with that's not made in Ren'Py type of thing. But in terms of just like what the actual video game like genre is in a way, but in terms of like the like framing and what you're looking at in terms of content, a super futuristic, crazy tech alien sci-fi setting is analyzing the memories of a kid from our day, modern day. And so the relationships of the person who's living in the modern day are at the forefront, and this large, crazy sci-fi framing device around it is, well, actually that's at the forefront. And then the relationships that I'm describing are like, behind that. So, yeah, you're kind of, and okay, yeah, not modern day. Anyway, you're looking to the past that we can relate to through a crazy sci-fi future that we can't. That's what's happening.
Okay. Do I shoot a gun?
No, but you wonder why she talked shit about you.
Okay.
and you may say some mean things in the process, and so on and so forth. You walk by a debate.
She talk shit because she was a bitch. That's why.
You walk by a debate club and you see debate club debating, and then you find two of your friends over there making out, first basing it. Not with a
out in public. Jesus.
No, they found the classroom, away from everybody, and it wasn't with a loose leaf. Anyway, more on that as we continue. That also was like, yeah, Act 2, I guess.
Oh yeah.
So got through Act 2 of that. And then we also took a look this week at Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and Beyond. Talked enough about that last time for sure, but super awesome project that is bringing Infinite back into the spotlight. The one thing I will say is, as we were going through it and trying out some of the new modes and stuff, yeah, Max came through and was like, "You guys got to try out that like co-op mode." And so Reggie and I played 2-player local versus the computer in arcade mode, and the final boss, Ultron Sigma, is just an absolute nightmare bullshit boss rage waiting to happen. Content has been prepared for your content creation channel. And, I mean, I have to say, I'm like, yeah, that checks out, actually. This is what this should be for. This is what this mode should be.
Those guys are pretty tough.
They are.
They should probably be really tough.
And it's just him, like, I'm like, he comes through and is like, yeah, I want to see you guys try that. That'd be cool. All right, bye. And, quickly realizing, oh, thank you for the content. This is going to make the rest of the night go. And it's fucking bullshit. It's absolute horseshit nonsense. Ultron Omega.
Wait.
It's one of those like Marvel bosses where it's like, okay, you could hit him for a while, but now he's gone and there's grunts. But instead of
really?
Yeah, because that's what like because there was things like that, like there's a couple bosses like in Marvel history where like Onslaught would like jump into the background and stuff like that. But in this case, it's like you can't, if you defeat one of the grunts, they just respawn. You have to kind of kill them simultaneously for that phase to end, and then when he comes back, whatever, infinite armor, infinite bullshit, nonsense, just all the things you'd expect, you know.
I'm watching this. This looks like a fucking stupid pile of shit.
Yeah,
this looks ridiculous.
It's great. It's nonsense. And I'm reminded though of like I remember when I sat there and I like fought Yami in Tatsunoko versus Capcom. The last boss of TVC was the boss from Okami, and similarly, it's just a big dumb damage sponge where not every character can do it because some people just don't have a kit for it. You know, if you do big combos, that's nice. That's gonna get you fucking killed. You need armor, multiple hits, and the right angles and stuff. But yeah, we kind of smashed our heads against that until one way or another we found our ending. We did.
Oh, good job.
It went from pretty much completely impossible to being very possible, and emotions ran high. Yes, so check that out. I think the video's out. Just Marvel is back. Marvel versus Capcom, Infinite and Beyond. And yeah, once again, you know, I said it in each one. I'll say it again. The full credit to that team. You know, Maximilian and Little V and Alex Mukala on the music, and Wistful Hopes for the amazing mods, and everyone that was a part of that gargantuan effort. Super cool. This week there will be more of Cyberpunk and 1000 Times Resist on the main schedule. I've posted up on Woolly Wolves on Twitter and on Blue Sky. And then we're gonna be doing some Get Into Fighting games. Got to catch up on some stuff. There's been a whole build up of things, but I think we're gonna at least. I'll confirm later, but I know for sure we're going to take a look at perhaps two things this Saturday, one of which is Corrupt, which is an Arc-forged helped fighting game that I've been keeping an eye on for a couple years now. That's finally dropped. It's the one with the cool black people in armor doing air combos.
Okay.
So I'm a jump in there.
Do you want to be a cool black people in armor doing combos?
I mean, I'm only missing the armor, aren't I?
Dude, that's great.
Whatever you say, kid.
One day.
He says as he adjusts his seat to make sure that his back doesn't get injured.
Man.
How's it going?
Back injuries are so lame.
They're
man.
so weak. You're so weak. When your back is injured, you are the weakest you've ever been, and you can't even
no way to look cool.
You can't pretend to be strong. Why would you? God.
I can go out at any time.
Just the thought that any stupid fucking 7-year-old could just run up and just kick you and go, yeah, in the back, and you're like, I'm defeated. I am undone. Lo, my lineage is ended. Anyway, also the Evo FGC channel just put out a dubiously named Ask a Pro video where I answer some fighting game questions.
I saw that come up, and my first thought was like, man, I bet Wooly's really unhappy with the name of this fucking video. I bet he's super mad because we're going to go into the podcast and I'm going to be like, oh, so Mr. Professional Fighting Game Player, what is your advice as a winner of many tournaments and evolution events?
So right up front, I said, I don't like that. And they're like, yeah, well, that's what it is.
That's the name of the...
And we're doing it, and we're doing other stuff.
Dude,
and
that sucks.
And you will notice that frame one, I disarmed that shit. Okay. But clearly, yes, roll through comments and see the people that are like green texting
so
Wooly, pro, lol, you know, like,
Well,
I
you're
know.
a pro now.
I
mean,
know. Trust me.
You're a professional fighting game person.
The first 5 seconds of me calling that shit out is not enough for people to catch on, apparently, because they see the title and thumbnail and just immediately go, what the fuck does he think he's doing?
So bad. It sucks so bad.
There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can do.
Now you got the professional feather in your cap. You can hang on to that forever. You put that on your social media.
I guess if you get, so just simply getting paid to do a thing makes you a professional of that thing.
You are a professional fighting game journalist.
Man.
You know, actually,
I
have a deep pull for this, because you said that that money is what makes a difference. There is a home improvement joke that I remember from a child, where Brad asks Tim Allen for help with his homework, and he goes, "What is a pronoun?" And Tim goes,
a professional noun.
He goes, "What an amateur noun would do for free, a pronoun does for money."
Yeah, okay, right. Yeah. I mean, anyway, this... okay, more than anything, I feel sorry for Reggie, because Reggie has to put up with my stupid inferiority complex bullshit every time we go to anything, and we're sitting, like, I'm always just like, God, I'm not, this is not, you know, and he's just like, yeah, dude, we get it. All right, get over yourself.
Well, it would be probably easier for you to live your life if you were like loud and braggadocious and lost more.
Yes, it
would probably be easier.
Caring sucks.
Like if you were just like straight garbage and you're like, I'm the best.
Because for so long, starting out, just trying to get good at these games when you're like the absolute beginning, it's like, okay, I expect no acknowledgement from anyone in any way, shape, or form. But there's that worry about, like, okay, well, when the time comes, what if you happen to be able to, like, if I win this, I might get into top 8 or something. You have all those nerves and that feeling of like, shit, people are watching. Oh fuck, can I deliver? Can I do it? You know, and that's bad enough on a local level. And then of course there's the years and years of like not doing that and being like, fucking scrub, whatever, right? But then I'm also just flashing back to years and years of like early on in, when like Fighterpedia episodes would come out or something.
I remember.
And shit would get posted on Shoryuken.com or on Event Hubs or on other fighting game websites. And like the FGC at large, a large group of people that I'm like, I'm actually trying to be relevant here and just be good. Like, you know, I'm trying to make a name or do something. And it'd be like, who the fuck is this scrub and why are we seeing him on our page?
Well,
right?
He's a scrub that has a little bit of the gift of gab, which is why you're seeing him here.
You're being, exactly. And it's like, yeah, but that's not skills. You know? It's not competitive skills. And
so I don't
was the only
name.
currency that I lived in back then. So that is what you're hearing expressed in me years later. The only currency that matters is Alex Valle going, if you're top 8, then if you're not top 8, who the fuck are you? And that's the value system.
I don't remember the names, and that's great because I don't want to put anyone specific on blast. But I remember a really specific period of time where I saw professional Street Fighter players talking shit about Max because he wasn't winning tournaments, but his channel is gigantic, and they were streaming to like nothing because they were doing
I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Silent online battles with nothing. Well, I'm way better than Max. I could beat Max.
But they consistently place top 32. Yeah, exactly.
It's like because he's an entertainer.
Because
people want to be entertained.
That's it. And it's relatable and it's good and it's content and it's good content and it gets you in. And if you're guess what? There's more people that are close that are like that than there are like you. You know, and that being said, Max is also pretty fucking good at a number of games.
He's pretty good,
and he's had that same kind of discussion. And I remember talking to Kizuke about this, where like there's moments where you have to kind of like level with the audience in some cases, where people will kind of show up and ask that question and be like, hey, so are you entering, or like, oh, how'd you do, or just kind of like seeing you in a competitive environment and thinking that you're going to be able to kind of do super well there. And it's like, if you see me streaming with you, that means I'm not training. That means I'm not competing. I'm not doing the things that you need to be good enough to make it that far, right? You don't get to have your cake and eat it too. The dedication to become as good as it takes to go as far as possible means you can't also be in the public eye to that full degree. And like, it's a kind of a catch-22 with a lot of signed players, really, because when you get signed, some sponsors are like, we want you to place really well, but we also want you to be a big channel, and we want you to be a larger, consistent streamer.
We want you to be a personality, we want you to be like a wrestler, kinda.
Exactly, and that, because that is another way for you to, like, you know, make money and for you to grow your brand and your name out there and stuff. And so, like, people who struggle with like the training regimen of staying on top of the game versus being more of a content creator, to kind of fulfill those obligations or to grow the stream and to make more stuff, is like, it pulls you away from like the drive it takes to fucking win sometimes. And for some people, they can just stream labbing, or they can stream, jumping online and stuff. But like, unless you're basically streaming your sets where you get in touch with other players that are as good as you and your long grinds, like the Birds, for example, do stuff like that. It unfortunately becomes diametrically opposed at a point. So if you see somebody more and you get into their content because they're entertaining, you also don't really get to go like, oh, but I also expect you to be the champ, And if you can, you're incredible. Anyone who is doing that is just goated. But it's a moment you often hit where you go, hey, I'm going to be focusing more on this or on that. And I've described it where I was like, yeah, entering tournaments is a secondary thing for me these days, obviously. I went to CEO Taku when I was there on doing stuff for Holiday Matsuri. I'm not entering CEO Taku. That's crazy. I'm doing I'm doing multiple events every day, When the funk would I find the time to just show up, sit there, get washed, and then have the person sitting next to you be like, oh shit, I'm a big fan. You got me into these games. And be like, yeah, cool. You destroyed me, because I haven't touched this game in months and I'm signing up just to be like, what for what, so that's real.
Yeah, the combination makes no sense. Like I had a brief moment in the sun where I was the world's most popular Virtua Fighter streamer.
There you go.
For like a couple hours, and then Fudo came on.
There you go. Yes.
And Fudo, I think I got like a top of 1.6 and he got like 2.6. And I'm like, does that mean I'm half as good as Fudo at Virtua Fighter, the world champion? No, it doesn't. Holy shit. No, it doesn't.
But yeah, but like when you don't know at all, when you're just like, the difference between being kind of good and being god tier is all the same to you, it certainly can feel like it. So it's like, so you're going to enter and you're going to at least get like top 16 then, right? If not top 8.
Totally. Well, I have to say, the way you talk about fighting games, sometimes you come off like a hustler. You come off like a guy who is setting up the second set of money matches that you then also lose. And then where's the hustle? Wait, what? I thought you were setting me up, rip me off. What the fuck?
I said it in the video, man, but it's like, nah. It's just, I just want these games to not die. They're really fun and I like them.
They're doing good.
Yeah.
They're doing good.
That's it.
And you are directly responsible for a small piece of that.
I mean, when we popped in like Infinite, and beyond, it was like, oh man, shit, I remember this game was so much fun back in the day. Okay, how the fuck do I do a bread and butter? Like, what did I used to do? I don't remember. LMH... launch LMH, what, like, it's, yeah, it takes a second,
Light punch, heavy punch.
And then when Kizzy was like to his channel like, hey guys, I'm actually going to start competing for real again, so you're going to see less videos and less content. And it's like, yeah, it's not what you want if you're a viewer, but like, it is the reality of it, so anyway, I
think there's so much interest in that specific topic. Just before we get on, because it applies to other games too. Like my expertise on this is like, I remember I was like, oh, I'm gonna go raid with my friends in 14, and people would be like, you should stream that. I'm like, that would be the most miserable fucking experience ever. Like the idea of streaming your raid cycle, and I'm like, well, World First does it. Well, World First is a race, and also every World First winner for like 6 World Firsts have gotten caught cheating.
Oh man,
because they're streaming it.
Yeah, nah. It's just no, thank you to any of that. I did stream like some of the games, like when I was going hard on Balatro, like I did, I did that once. I did a bit of Into the Breach and those kind of relaxation games and stuff. But it's not always going to be a great stream for things like that. Anyway, this is all nothing to do with, of course, picking up these games and finding out why they're fun for the first time. This is just shit from years of being here. Me talking about 0.01% of the people that play these games and the competitive bullshit there.
The mental stack grows by the day.
And this does not apply at all to fucking everybody who's listening to this.
I'm so excited to see what happens with 2XKO on Twitch and YouTube. Because you're going to see League people jump in onto it. Like those two worlds will intermingle. And it's like adding piss to a swimming pool.
I think it'll be similar to like when Dragon Ball had a lot of Dragon Ball streamers show up that were not fighting game players, but primarily all Dragon Ball other content. They roll in for a while and then they filter out, and then a couple linger that are like super into it after about 2 months time. Takes about 2 months, it feels like. And then when a character or a big drop that's lore important happens, it kind of picks back up again, so when Broly drops, holy shit, when Vi
whatever
comes to XKO, then that's going to be a big
whatever
research.
Man, this game sucks. I'm going back to Xenoverse, a real video game.
That line, man, those signups eclipsed the Dragon Ball Fighter signups. Anyways,
speaking of, oh boy,
what's going on?
I don't know if it's news, but did you see Mortal Kombat's going to be at Evo this year? Did you see it?
I guess I missed that news.
Oh, yeah. Here's the news. Well, it happened while you were setting up. So the lineup for this year: Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Guilty Gear Strive, Grand Blue Fantasy vs. Rising, Under Night In-Birth 2, MK1, City of the Wolves, and MVC 2.
Yay, City of the Wolves.
Yeah. I would like to quote one KZ Excellent, friend of the show. Quote, people will sign up to Mortal Kombat 1 and then immediately celebrate being put into the top 32. End quote.
I mean, the combo breaker sign-up numbers, I remember, there were twice, there was like, Tekken was like I think broke 1,000, and, Guilty Gear and Street Fighter were also around there. Samurai Showdown had 70 entrants, and MK1 had about double that.
Okay, so 140-ish?
Shy of 200, I believe, is where they were at. So
I bet you could get more Virtua Fighter 5 Revo entrants than MK1. This is a travesty.
Considering it's a big triumphant return, and considering the people playing it don't hate it, probably, yeah, I imagine so. Because what doesn't get talked about as much is the state the state of the people that are playing it. I feel it's rough out there, man.
That is a real weird criteria. That is
There's always that the percentage of people that are competing in a game that absolutely loathe it, and they're crucial, they're essential. But here, they're all that's left.
Oh man, that's weird. That's so weird. All right, what's been going on with Pat this week? I have many things to discuss. Let's start with the most important thing in my life, my human child, my baby boy, who has learned to lie.
Oh, no.
It is one of the developmental milestones. It is one of the nightmare milestones where you're like, this is a high-level brain concept.
Okay.
It's good for the boy.
Okay.
It's the start. It's the start of the nightmare.
The power of deceit.
We gave the baby boy one of his baby crackers that he likes, called Baby Num Num, and he's eating it up.
It's called officially Baby Num Num?
Yes, the Baby Num Nums that is in the old Go to Walmart video from like 11 years ago is a product that I am feeding to my child.
Wow.
Because it's baby crackers.
Okay.
And he took it and he broke it in half and he ate half, and we're like, that's good. And then he looked at this dog, walked over to the dog, put the entire cracker inside the dog's mouth, and then I went, hey, no. And he looked at me, took a step back, and then pretended to eat the nothing in his hand. And go, nom, 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 nom.
It wasn't just verbal. It was a whole act
it was
out.
somatic.
It was a whole act out.
It was a pantomime.
Holy shit, that's advanced.
Oh, no. And here's the best part. After he finished eating the nothing, he did the taps and went more. And it's like, are you serious?
Ooh.
You didn't eat anything.
The brazen.
Look, I'm looking right at you.
Deception. Oh shit. Okay. Okay. Testing the boundaries.
We're also going through a sleep regression, which I don't know if you saw any of my skeets about it, but me and Paige were in bed at like midnight last night going, oh my God, I want to go to sleep. And the baby is like literally running a circuit around the bed with his toys going, ah.
Little do you know, that's 4D chess where he's trying to tire you out so that more lies can work effectively.
It's working, man. It's working. He's also so the sleep regression is what causes the rapid mental advancement. So babies don't progress normally; they progress in huge bursts. It has also come along with the ability to do tasks that we ask him. Can you give me that? Can you go get your milk? Can you close that drawer? All of a sudden, like that, understands all of it. And is repeating random words out of our sentences. So the lockdown on language in the house is starting now.
Okay.
The baby's walking around trying to say the word dicks right now.
Okay. It matters. Yep. Got it. It matters.
It's only a matter of time before he says fuck.
Ruh-roh.
And then we have to pretend he saw it on TV. Which he's not allowed to watch. Like the baby watches the podcast. The baby watches my show when it's just like big-headed me and I'm talking now when the game is running.
Yeah.
That may have to stop because I can't stop swearing on this program. I don't have the ability to do that. That's hard.
You will never fiscally recover from going PG.
Oh no, I can't go PG. No, it's attitude forever. That's going on.
We've already taken the losses in awards and invitations.
We can't go back now.
Yeah. So
that's going on.
Okay.
I hung out with one Ashley Roboto last week, and was it last week? I guess it was. We played some classic World of Warcraft. First of all, Ashley's a sweetheart. What a wonderful lady. Though it did show off. You know that first time you collaborate with somebody and like you hit this line where you see the line in the sand on your personality?
Oh yeah, you because you love to test the waters.
So
right?
That's not
you.
what happened. That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I do that.
You
it
do
is fun.
that.
It is fun. Let's just find the line right away. But no, I'm not talking about that. So we're playing Classic WoW on a permadeath server. And Ashley is describing how there's a chat channel that announces your death to the entire server when you die in Classic WoW perma. And so she taught me how to turn it on. And sure enough, within a couple of minutes, like, oh, this person died, and it tells you their level, and it tells you their character's name, and it tells you what killed them, right? And she's telling the story about how, like, it kind of sucks sometimes because you'll die, but because the server blasts your name out there, people who are total dickheads will like whisper you and be like, get good, idiot, or you suck ass. And as she is in the process of saying, oh, it's so terrible, I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. I mean, oh no, that's mean and toxic.
Okay. So,
like the reason why different people play MMOs is different. If I'm gonna play World of Warcraft, I want the absolute most dog shit experience possible.
I mean, again, some people are having social RPs with their tunes.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say that sounds like you had a fun time with this, despite the actual thing that you were playing.
So,
which is the least of what we're discussing right now.
Here's where it gets complex. So, World of Warcraft is now in the strangest place it's ever been because they have their retail WoW, which I fuck it. I'm not. Let's just put that whole thing to the side. And then they have Classic WoW. And what they did with Classic WoW is they said, hey, here's World of Warcraft as it was in 2004. And then here's Burning Crusade, which was the expansion to World of Warcraft, and then we added it a year later. And then here's Lich King, which is that expansion, and this encompasses classic World of Warcraft. And then they said, hey, you know what we should roll into classic? Let's keep it going. So they have classic World of Warcraft Cataclysm,
the third one,
the thing that everyone started saying we need World of Warcraft Classic because Cataclysm is the big change that tons of people hated.
Okay.
That changed all the zones.
Yeah. So when these changes come out, they're like server-wide changes to the classic game.
Yeah.
So your time to experience it being its old version is only that initial release period.
Yeah, so instead of a 2-year release window, they're on 1-year release window, so you're like catching up a little faster. But
can you just play can you play a server without it?
So here's where it gets complicated because I heard about Cataclysm being in Classic. I'm like, why the fuck would anyone ever play Classic WoW? It's not even fucking Classic WoW anymore. So now there is a second batch of servers.
Okay.
That are WoW Classic.
Okay. Yeah. If you wanted to go back to that exact version. Yeah.
And what is probably going to happen is it is probably going to end up in a situation that when the classic servers get to Cata, the original classic servers will be like 6 expansions in, but not cut up to retail. And then they will make a classic set of servers, and then when the classic original servers catch up, those servers will roll back into the new classic.
This is the dumbest shit ever. The problem is that it's trying to appease to the nostalgia of a giant group of people that all feel differently about these things. So if there's a consensus that the third one was where it all went bad, then there's a whole lot of people that won't go past that point. But for those that are, there's those that want to go back to that specific time. And how do you fucking do this without what? I don't know how you do this. How do you make people happy?
Here's where I'm at.
How?
I don't like Cataclysm, and I don't care about anything past Cataclysm. The only version of WoW that I want to play is the WoW that existed from 2004 to 2008 or 9-ish, right? That's all I'm interested in. So, yeah, I'll fuck around in the old version of it because that was fun. I did not like Cataclysm. It was not fun to me. And now they are in this rotating, writhing mass of versions.
So all I can think of, because, you know, it's me, you put out an anniversary collection and you're like, hey, did you like hyper fighting? Is that the one you want to play? Well, then that's one of the options you can pick here. And
that is actually how it works.
Yeah, and that's the only way, because you're like, I'm the one that wants that one version of Blanca from that one version of the game.
That is how it works, because when you sub to World of Warcraft, you are subbing to all of them simultaneously. And you actually pick which one you want to load into on a drop-down bar.
And there's no other way to make people happy, you know. And if you understand that you're like, I want to experience that old thing more than I care about being on a populated server, then so be it. There you go. You'll be by yourself.
Oh, don't worry. All servers are populated.
Okay. Well, great.
Forever.
Great. But yeah, I see there's no other way than splitting this by, well, what the fuck do you want to play then? You know?
So there's so much other weird shit happening. So here's one of the problems with classic WoW. MMOs are designed to be completed, and then you have your high-end raid and all that shit, but they're always designed to be added on to forever, right? Classic WoW is solved. Like, where to go, what to get, what skills, what party layouts, where to stand, like, it is solved. Like, there is a spreadsheet out there that is how to beat World of Warcraft Classic. And it's complete. And it's been complete for a really, really long time.
But isn't that...
And that's why it's actually fun to play on the permadeath realms. Because I know how to get to level cap in Classic. But getting to level cap in Classic without dying even a single time is actually really hard.
Right, okay. Well, I was going to say, like, isn't the fact that it's solved or not kind of irrelevant? Because the only reason why you're going back is because nostalgia, and you just want the vibes of, like, playing the way you used to remember?
When WoW was solved back in 2005 or 6, right? But then when Classic came out, it was solved again, but it was solved in a world with Twitch and Discord and, you know, wikias and shit that were not there back in 2004. So the information existed and people knew it, but now it has been wrapped up into a tome. So that period of Classic was like people re-solving it.
But, like, is anyone looking for a challenge, or are they just looking to hang out with their friends in the old servers that they used to?
I mean, if you're playing on the hardcore server, yes, you are looking for a challenge.
Okay.
Because it is actually really, really, really hard to hit level cap without dying.
I kind of would think that most of it is kind of just like, yeah, we're trying to just go, you know, just...
The other thing that somebody points out is that a lot of WoW's, like, raid content back in 2005 and 6 was actually super easy. It's just nobody knew how to play MMOs. Like, nobody was good at it at the time.
Back then. Okay.
Overall, yeah, had fun. Ashley had to go to dinner, and within 10 minutes of Ashley going to dinner, I died and my character got deleted. So she was totally carrying my ass. For real.
Is the deletion process, like, do you have to do it yourself?
It's so cruel. It's so cruel. You die and you get the ghost form that lets you do the corpse run, but the corpse won't let you interact with it.
Oh, it's set up to not work. Okay.
So yeah, your character's there. But they're fucking dead and they're ghosts, and so you have to go out and delete it. It's so mean.
Is that like a custom server setting that you can kind of do to mess with the game, kind of thing?
I mean, WoW Classic is based off of people running private, like, WoW servers.
Okay.
And I remember saying, like, man, you know what they should do? They should have a parallel development where they just have a new expansion to, like, instead of Kata, and just have a complete separate game split off.
Oh my god. A new thing coming out of Classic.
To which I was told that actually exists, and they're doing it right now. They are doing something called Season of Discovery, which is the classic guts with a completely new set of mechanics and like custom server shit all over the place.
Well, I guess if they've already got your sub, then it doesn't matter what you're paying for. Splitting the attention is not a big deal. Because I was going to say, like, why would you, as a big company, be like, I'm going to spend time and shit on new effort put towards this and not the main thing we're trying to push people to.
It's kind of like a Diablo season or like a Path of Exile season. And you know what? Having WoW Classic and WoW Retail and all this shit all in the same sub is so cost effective. And because it's so cost effective that you're getting access to all these games, that's why the monthly rate can be $22.50 Canadian a month.
Because it's the full package.
Because it's everything.
Yeah. Okay. That's a lot.
It is a lot. It is ridiculous. But think of all the different versions of World of Warcraft you could play.
How popular is, like, vanilla WoW? Or not vanilla, well, WoW current?
Poppin'.
Okay.
Even when FF14 was like really coming up and doing crazy numbers and maybe passing it, WoW has always still been popping in the background.
Yes.
The people that are in are so in, and like
there was
like one of the things that came up when I was talking to Ashley. She's like, I started playing World of Warcraft when I was 12 years old, and my body went. What? Like, because that changes the context of that relationship with that game so dramatically.
Because there was a moment some years ago where I remember I thought that 14 had just fully swallowed WoW players and fully replaced it and took the spot, dethroned it. And it turned out that it's like, well, sort of, but there's still a lot of people that were on it. And admittedly, a lot of the people that I know were just way more interested in 14 than in WoW. But
that's because you know weebs.
Exactly. So my skew, my algorithm is different. It's skewed towards Final Fantasy weeb shit, So that's it. But there's still a lot of people that But is Classic like comparing numerically to?
Oh, I don't know. You could look it up. I bet. I know that FF14 is dipped under 1 million because of people just bailing after Dawn Trail. FF14 was on this like huge upward climb in quality, and Dawn Trail feels like kind of a misstep. I'm definitely not the only person who is no longer playing it.
Looking for something else, and so this kind of pops in. Like
I can't see myself ever going back to WoW because it's like evil. But it was fun to play with Ashley, and we might play it again on Monday. We haven't made super concrete plans. The second thing that I did is that I was like, you know what? Did I talk about the Guild Wars thing last week with the controller thing?
You mentioned finding out that the solution existed the whole time. And
so then what I did is that I went crazy and spent like an entire evening up until 3 a.m. Building a Steam input controller profile for Guild Wars 2 so that I could play that game like a regular video game on a controller.
That's not crazy. That's completely reasonable.
And I put it out there. I linked it to people, and it does work. It works. It actually totally works. And it's just like, I'm probably going to be playing a lot of Guild Wars 2 in the future.
Okay, so
because
MMO scratch itch.
Mm-hmm. Well, the other thing is that Guild Wars 2 is like utilizing the shocking buy to play system for its monthly sub.
That was the one that was free, but you would buy each new thing.
The way that it originally worked is that you would buy the game and it had no sub.
Right.
And then if you bought the expansion, it would also have no sub.
Right. Yeah.
And the idea was that they could keep it going with a cosmetic shop and like yearly or bi-yearly expansions.
I remember when Min told me about that years ago, and I was like, that's really honest. I respect that. I don't know how profitable that makes it, but good on them for, not having the same setup, especially from way back when.
Hey, somebody made a good point in one of the chat, because every time I talk about Dawn Trail, people get like kind of mad. Someone says, Pat, you called Dawn Trail the third best expansion, said you loved it, and then the next time you mentioned it here, said it was a complete fall off, and you felt that the whole time. Yeah, that's post-nut clarity or recency bias. That's you beat the game, and you're like, wow, that was great, and then you go back to play it, and you're like, I don't feel it. That's all that is. As soon as you pull your dick out, you're like, oh no. I should have faked it.
What I'm surprised by, though, is that, like, if the latest expansion, like, missteps, that the remaining 90% is, like, also kind of, like, done, you know?
Well, the other thing is that for 14, I'm having a specific thing, which happens to a lot of people, which is I've been redlining the current content on that game for, like, 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always the same structure, and it's always the same layout, and it's always the same like rollout over and over and over and over and over. And I was like grinding out a class that I didn't intend to play so that the number would look good on my character sheet. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
That's there's a problem with that way of playing it and this kind of, outcome, I guess. But
to those of you who have played FF14, I looked at my weekly tomes being 450, and I'm like, I've been getting weekly tomes at 450 for 7.5, 8 years. I'm fucking so done with getting my weekly 450 tomes.
And there's no like other content that's out there that's just like untouched, right?
I did a lot of shit in that game.
Yeah.
I did a lot of shit in that game. Just a ton of shit.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, if you're paying for a monthly thing, there should be a feeling that within those 4 weeks, you're getting as much enjoyment as your sub has been worth. So, yeah. Okay.
In the process of going back to Guild Wars 2, though, I did find out that ArenaNet is totally working on Guild Wars 3, which is exciting. And the second thing is that I found out that NetEase is working on a Warhammer MMO. And it's a really good batch of timing for me to have learned about it this week, because if I learned about that 3 months ago, I would have been like, oh man, NetEase is making, crap. But now that we're playing Marvel Rivals, I don't know. It's a coin flip.
Now, there surely must have been failed attempts in the past, right?
There was. It was called Warhammer Age of Reckoning.
Okay, because I'm like, there's zero chance Warhammer has not clearly taken the obvious step into MMO money. Yeah.
Warhammer Age of Reckoning was fascinating because it was made by EA, and it was not great, but it had some stuff going on that was cool. And the main distinction, I think it was a public quest system or a queuing system. I forget what it was. But of note is that it showed off all of its cool new features. And then Blizzard was able to develop them into the next WoW expansion and released before them.
Oh shit, hit him with the fucking Fortnite, baby.
Yeah. And they killed it.
Woo.
And they just killed it outright.
Yep. That's
because like the only thing that this game had going for it was Warhammer, which Warcraft is incredibly similar to, and its new features, which WoW just put in, and WoW is the best thing ever. And this is 2008. This is during the peak of the peak in WoW.
Yo, Apex launch.
They had no chance.
Apex launch or die, man. Holy shit. They just fucking took it. got his ass.
There is a really fun thing. I don't know if you've encountered this, but like when I streamed a little bit of Guild Wars 2 and gone over it and was like, wow, this game was so weird. It had so much more voice acting. It has Jen Hale, Steve Bloom, Matt Mercer, Nolan North as like all the main as your character. And this thing that happens, you go, oh, I'm going to stream this somewhat obscure older multiplayer game. And it's like you Winter Soldier activate like 10 people in your chat that like were absolute fucking fiends.
Manchurian Candidate
about it the whole time. Like it's weird. It's fucking weird.
Okay. Also, so the Warhammer MMO was a victim of getting their shit stolen by Blizzard then.
By Warcraft. Yeah.
Whew, boy. Damn. Yeah, all right.
It's so I would not like we're going in like I would not be shocked that like we would not see anything about this Warhammer MMO until it's like fucking 6 months away. Like just
the Apex
just like
Legends.
When the open beta happens, that's the announcement.
The Apex Legends like drop. The fuck you, we're not saying shit drop. It's the only way. I respect it. Speaking of which, you know, when we were talking about Rivals and how it's just like shameless in its overwatching and its every piece that it takes from every other active game, its Fortnite parts and stuff. I was booting up and like that sound it makes when you queue up and a game is found is the exact instrument sound from the Apex Legends theme song. There's that little hollow echo synthy noise that goes.
Oh, you're right.
And it's the same sound you hear when you're loading up in Apex. And like, fuck me if they didn't find a way to just activate that neuron too. I was like, what is that? Why do I? It's Apex.
You're super right. You're super right.
That's so deliberate. It's an exact hollow echoing ring noise that's deliberately chosen because if you played that game for a bit, you might feel something, you know? Wow at that game.
Man, I would kill for a good Warhammer MMO, man. That is a setting / property that just, well, I mean, WoW proved it. You could do a good Warhammer MMO. It could be done. Well, I would like it to do.
Let's see what's coming. I forgot to talk about it, but yeah, played some more Rivals as well.
It's good.
It's very good. And I initially got comfortable with, you know, the beta characters. Like I was playing like Magic and Iron Man heavily. But holy shit, Moon Knight is a very good DPS.
Hey, listen, is aiming for pussies? If you think this, Moon Knight is for you.
Can you strategically place your Ankh, though? Don't fuck up. You got to place the Ankh right. And if they turn around to target it, make sure you punish them for that. Moon Knight's really good.
Moon Knight's great.
I've made some crazy plays and like saved entire matches by just taking him off the front lines to the side, confusing people from where they're being hit from, and or making them chase the Ankh around and then like hitting the point. Yeah, it's like like, you know, as somebody who's like, hey, look, I know my aiming is going to be compromised in all situations. Can I find a way to?
There's characters for that.
Yeah, compensate for that. You know, and it's funny because I'm like, you know, as much as I'm like, I know that you should be, if you're sniping, if you're playing anyone that snipes, you should be dropping people like X number per second or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I like the melee characters besides enjoying that. But because, yeah, it's a different form of what's useful to the team. And
so they put out the patch notes today.
Oh, cool.
And I looked over them, and we're not going to go into them because they're hyper specific. But my takeaway from them, and what I seem to see others, is that these are really good patch notes.
Nice.
They're like, the changes are very minor, but they're all in the right directions. Like there's no big, huge, hard swings of like, oh, that's too much, right? It's like maybe 25 extra health here or 10% less damage on this character just so they don't two-tap someone.
Okay, soft stuff.
Like Hela got a little bit of a nerf, so she can't two-tap you instantly.
Yeah, okay. Hela's incredible, and she was incredible.
Storm got buffed because she's the worst character in the entire game.
Oh, what about Captain America?
He got a little bit of buff too.
Yeah, they're underutilized for sure. I don't think I've played a single game with a Black Widow in it either.
I have played one. We lost.
Yeah, so there you go. It does feel though like I don't have a balance problem with Hulk. I just continue to have a identity problem with him.
I have a pro tip for you for Hulk.
Uh-huh.
I have a massive pro tip for you.
Uh-huh.
So I hated Hulk, and then I went into the options, and there's an option you can change that changes the way Hulk plays completely. There is an option in his personal hero controls that is hold jump to charge your jump.
Uh-huh.
If you turn that off, when you tap jump, he will just start passively generating the leap, and you can just tap jump again to leap away.
Oh, interesting.
So you leap in, and as soon as you hit the ground, you hit spacebar or left trigger, do all your shit, and then when you want to leave, the jump has just been charging,
and it auto charges it.
Background.
Wow, that's like fucking Fantasy Strike, like Yomi shit. Okay,
because that's how Hulk is supposed to work. You're supposed to jump in, go ba 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 ba, and jump away over and over and over and over and over.
Okay, nice. What was I saying? Iron Fist is also a fucking awesome pick.
He's a fucking menace is what he is.
I love him, and I love the fact that it's like, okay, am I playing on a team with fucking whatever, we like one healer and 5 DPSs or so? And in a lot of cases I'll be like, fine, I'll go heal, right? But if I don't feel like it, I'll just be like, nah, I'll just pick a self-sustaining character, and he's great for that. It's like, okay, don't heal me, I'll be fine. Go in, menace, harass, jump away, heal.
I think they were so brave by making the most popular character that's ever existed, Spider-Man, the most technically complex character in the whole game,
and then didn't adjust it too much after the fact on release either.
Like every Spider-Man you see is either dog shit or that's actually Peter Parker playing the game. Oh my god!
I noticed as well. Some stuff got very drastically changed. Like the team up ability that Magic and Black Panther had. It was like a one-way portal, or no, it was a two-way portal that only they could use. It was just not good enough. It was not good enough for the sacrifice of having 2 of your DPSs be melee characters. So they made it so that it's like there's the passive damage buff and the like rewind heal kind of ability where you get HP back as well. Yeah. No, I'm not an insta-lock DPS, by the way. I'll play whatever role is needed depending on how other people float. I highlight my character.
Last almost every time.
I highlight my character, but I don't lock in until I see more commitments. And then in a lot of cases, I'll be like, well, let me synergize with whoever's going. So I see a cloak and dagger. You bet your ass I'm going Moon Knight because we get to fucking
playing a lot of Loki.
You know. Yeah.
Because everyone locks in their deeps, and then I go, I'll play fucking Loki. There's a Hela on the team. Fuck it.
If you can get a benefit going, 100%. And so yeah, the trailer for Fantastic Four dropped, and I don't know. I don't really know what I was expecting, but it's like, yeah, Mr. Fantastic is gonna fucking dulcim your ass, and Sue is gonna
make people invisible.
That's it. Which, depending on how that ult works for your team from the outside, might be the most completely insane thing in the game. The trailer doesn't give you an impression for how long it's going to last exactly, but
you put it on the point and
nobody can see anything. That's
I think your team can see into it. Maybe
if it's your team can see the enemy, but they can't see you, and that lasts like 10 seconds or something. That's insane. And if it's
it means like anyone who walks in will just get vaporized by the entire team.
Versus if it's only outside the circle versus inside the circle vision, that's a different type, you know? I would assume that you blind people unless you're inside the circle.
People are saying that it heals allies and slows enemies within the invisibility also. And your team can see into it.
But can the enemy see you while in the circle?
Yes. If they're in the circle, they can see you.
Okay, only
but
outside.
You're being healed.
Yes.
You're being healed and they're being slowed.
Okay, because basically that's the important part. Is it blind for everyone in the circle right away and outside? All right.
She's essentially throwing down like the Thunderdome with advantage.
Yeah, that's a really good ult. That's great. And I guess I mean we'll see what Thing and Johnny end up being.
I'm so fascinated by what Thing is going to be, in that he will not be the Hulk.
Well, like, is he going to just hit harder? Is he going to be kind of what I thought Hulk would be for his kit? Because
he might be the Hulk character that I thought I was going to get.
Yeah, because I mean, like, Hulk as a backline harasser or like a Winston is kind of one thing. The shielding ability is like, it makes sense. It's just not what I thought he'd be. So
yeah, I didn't think when I was playing Hulk in my shooter video game that Hulk's primary use would be to make Iron Man's right click 10 times stronger.
Yeah, the passive buff on his.
It's such a big deal.
Yeah. Anyway, it's like the main thing I was unhappy about was like his damage, and it seems like that's better now. But his role just is not what I would think a Hulk role would be. Like Hulk almost feels like the equivalent of ignoring your own team to go off and do your own thing here is like to be that backline harasser. Which you can do with the melee characters or with your Venom style, get in and get out. It almost feels as if like he should completely be like separate from the rest of the team in a way. He should just be out of control, and like I'm just thinking like almost like lore wise, like the idea of like even like protecting the team. It's probably not great balancing wise, but it just doesn't gel with what we think of when we're like, yo, we're gonna, like in Ultimate's Hulk, for example, it's just like we're unleashing him over there, get the fuck away, right? Let him do his thing.
You gotta make narrative sacrifices for gameplay balance, and that's why all of these characters are from all different universes, so they can be slightly different.
Yeah, and I can see the pushback on it, like Wooly, he's clearly does, and I get that, like he fills that role. It's just when you think about what Hulk is, it feels as if he's just out of control berserk doing his own shit, all power nuts, and like very little support ability coming out of that dude, for lore purposes or whatever. Anyway,
that new season is Friday.
Cool.
I don't know if you saw the skins. They're cool.
I did see that second Invisible Woman skin, and
yes, that one.
They know who they're selling to, and the part where it's like, what the fuck is this guy? Oh, it's real. Oh, that's canon. That's actually from the 70s or some shit.
Thing,
I'm like, you found a fucking Gooner skin from the 70s and you brought that shit back?
I found it.
Of course you can. There's always something. There's always a skin. Yeah. Good stuff. You do what you gotta do,
I also, man, I had a big week this week. Also, this week lasted 10 days, technically, right? Also played a game called Crypt Master.
What's that?
Have you seen Crypt Master?
No.
So Crypt Master, they put out a statement a little bit ago that they won a bunch of awards, but they're having trouble getting eyeballs on the game. So I was like, I'll stream it. I'll show that game off because it's incredible. So Crypt Master is entirely in black and white, old school tile-based dungeon crawler, in which your characters have lost their memory and you have to type to hit or zap or jab or trap or use their attacks.
Oh, this looks cool.
And when you go up to a chest, in order to get the item or the attack out of the chest, you have to essentially play a game of Wordle with the Crypt Master.
Interesting.
And is a full-scale, like, role-playing game alongside these rules, with where the game is constantly talking to you and asking you to type back to it, and there's a million lines of voice acting for every possible response. It's incredible.
Okay.
It's fucking amazing.
Did your account get thrown on a list because of the first letters in this being Crypt? Because I feel as if the moment if you talk about Crypt of the Necrodancer or Crypt anything, and crypto bots just show up and start fucking.
Yeah. No, it's great. Crypt Master's fantastic. You should all check it out. That is not a sponsored opinion. I just think that game's really cool.
That's a very cool art style. Yeah.
I also played Dungeons and Dragons this week with my Dungeons and Dragons group.
How is that going?
So, right off the bat, the DM sat down and was like, "Hey, everybody, I'm going to be talking at certain points, and some people are going to have their moments, and we're all going to let everyone have their moment and talk and take their turns." You know, that very traditional, like, I can't point a finger because then we're going to have a fight. So instead, we're going to diffuse this across the whole group, right?
Are we going to agree to, like, mute buttons and...
No. But basically, you know, and everyone went, yeah, absolutely. No problem, DM. And to Jimmy's extreme credit, Jimmy was a million times better this session.
Good job,
like,
EMP.
Way better.
Great.
I briefly mentioned, I switched over to a cleric because I didn't want to be a second warlock. And he was like, oh, that's great. That means that we can make bigger mistakes now that we have a cleric. And I was like, that's right. And then we later did. Session was great. There was one thing that was a little strange. And that was when we arrived, there was an 8-year-old child sitting at the D&D table.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I wonder if this is like a relative of the DM or they're going to get picked up.
Mm-hmm.
No. So the DM is like walking in from outside having smoked his DM weed, which is, you know, and I'm starting to put drinks away because that's what I do. Turns out this kid is one of the players' children and will be joining us.
Okay.
And to the kid's credit, he was all right.
Yeah, I see no... I don't raise any eyebrows at that. That's fine, as long as the kid's not annoying.
I would raise an eyebrow at surprised children at a late night D&D session with weed and alcohol.
Okay, well, I guess if it's being consumed right out, like, yeah. But, like, and I guess it's a kid of someone who's there, who's playing? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because we were playing on a different day than we usually do, so I assume that was like just a custody situation.
If you think,
the kid's all right. Kid was cool.
That's
he
it.
Got a little bored at the end.
If you're chill and you can keep up and have fun.
Well, wait a second.
I'm okay. In theory, providing you're a chill kid, I have no problem with that.
Well, wait just a second.
All right.
So when we were playing D&D, and in general, the kid was actually very nice and chill. He was like 8 or 9 or some shit. He was all right.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, hello, I'm Pat. Introduce myself to the child and hold my hand out as you do. Right. I was a little weirded out. I didn't expect this situation, but okay. And the kid walks past my hand and full palm taps me on my bald spot and then walks past me and goes, hi.
Okay, this kid rules. This kid's a fucking hero is what you're saying. He's based as fuck. This is what you're telling me.
Standing there
you didn't tell me the child was based, Pat. You didn't tell me the child was based. This kid's unstoppable. All right. Okay.
This is supposed to be my D&D thing.
Established he knows how to play. I respect it. I admire it.
Man, like, 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds are tall now, man. That's not fair.
Damn.
Shouldn't be able to touch me on top of my head, but that's how God did me.
Man said you're molding, and hey, nice to meet you in one fell swoop.
So like the only thing is like if I was going to go to like a meetup of acquaintances or friends or whatever, I would expect someone to just tell me that there would be a child there.
I mean, do they kind of say, hey, there's a new person joining, like, before you show up ever?
No, not even that. Not even that.
Okay.
It was so weird.
Is this a casual drop in, drop out kind of group?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Because sometimes that's a thing, you know. I remember when the group I played with, there was friends that would be there less frequently, and they kind of had character sheets if they had popped in.
Like, I have no idea. I have no idea if that kid is going to be like another party member or that was just like a one-off.
Also, back in the day, I don't know if this
never came up.
Back in the day, the DM had, excuse me, you know how like there's like NPC character sheets. Some like that he would have like a simplified sheet for people that were rolling with us, and someone could like take that over, you know, for like a temporary
that is what
thing.
happened.
That's okay. Yeah, so it's that. Okay, yeah, we did that back in the day. I remember. Okay.
But yeah, can't express enough that the kid was cool, and especially for an 8-year-old, he did like a really good job.
So far, so good.
But like, I don't know what's going on with me trying to play D&D that I'm running into like every possible conceivable like form of shenanigans, like week in, week out.
I mean, you're meeting people. This is the outside world. this is, what is there to say?
I've met people before.
You're meeting D&D players.
That's true. That is true. That is pretty much it for me this week. The remainder of the week, tomorrow I'm going to do some backlog stuff, and then Friday I'm going to be playing Metal Gear Solid 2. Oh, right. I beat MGS1 last night.
Yeah. Which
first
ending?
time in like a decade.
Which ending?
I went for Meryl because Meryl lives.
Yeah.
And man, that ending's way worse than the Otacon ending. Like, it's just way worse.
Yeah, but
because you know that it doesn't go anywhere.
No, but if you're a teenage boy, you're gonna be like, oh, I saved my girlfriend, and now she's gonna ride on the back of the snowmobile, and her boobs are on my back.
So
like that's it.
There's two big things coming off playing Metal Gear Solid 1 out now, or three things. One, it's a direct remake of like Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. Sorry, Metal Gear 1 and 2. Like it's everything in there is like something from the old ones, all the way down to like there's a boss in Metal Gear 2 called Ultra Box, which is just 4 guys attacking you in an elevator. Right. And the second thing is that I'm a proper adult man now, and when Liquid's going on and on and on and on and on about the recessive genes, I'm just like blown away at how like Liquid is actually like legitimately stupid.
Complete nonsense.
And he's willing to nuke the world because he does not understand genetics.
But at the time, as your first ever monologue about DNA,
oh, absolutely,
it was the coolest thing ever. And you saw footage of real nukes going off a couple hours earlier, so you trust everything you're hearing.
But like every single thing he says about genes, like nearly everything is like completely incorrect.
Dominant and yeah.
Like the whole thing is so he's fucking completely full of shit.
Now, but I will say if not for that speech years ago though, we probably wouldn't know these things casually now, because finding out about the real version of that was directly from its usage. You know, you don't look into that part of it if it doesn't get used in the fiction in a way.
Yeah.
So
I reached out to Tom Schalk of the YouTube channel Tom Schalk for permission to sneak in the Big Chungus cutscene instead of Liquid's Gene cutscene, which happily threw a bunch of people for a loop.
What does that replace?
Oh, it replaces Liquid on top of Rex talking about genes. Instead, he's talking about Big Chungus.
Nice. Okay.
Because Tom Schalk is a fantastic voice actor and perfectly emulated Cam Clark and David Hayter's voices. But but the final thing is that like every single thing that Ocelot says in Metal Gear Solid 1 is a lie. Every single word out of his mouth is not true.
Oh, so you mean
it is beyond funny.
He wasn't told it was going to be a weapon. He didn't think that Rex could possibly ever. Rex is for peace.
Like everything he says to Liquid, everything he says to you, like there are things in some of the flashbacks of him talking to other characters that he's wait, I said Ocelot, didn't I?
I thought you said Otacon.
No, I said Ocelot. Didn't I say Ocelot?
Excuse me.
Now I'm confused.
I thought you said Otacon.
Okay. No, Ocelot. Like Revolver Ocelot.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Long-term antagonist. Every single thing he says in this game is a lie.
Checks out.
Like him being about Mother Russia, his plans for Glukovich, the shit he's saying in the fucking outro to the president.
Shalashaska.
Like, liar, the biggest liar ever. And it's really, really funny. There's also things I didn't pick up on ever, despite many, many playthroughs. When you're in the torture scene and Liquid and him and Sniper Wolf are standing there, and he goes, "Oh, what's up, carrier boy?" and no one reacts. It's because he's talking about Fox Die.
Because he knows that you're infected already.
And like, I never picked it up.
Did you do any of the like the extra bits? Like, did you get the piss on the box and stuff?
I did the piss on the box. I also saw the parachute outside the snowfield.
Okay. Yeah, that's that
game's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I still like mourn for that soundtrack because that energy never really came back. You know, the OST from Solid 1 is just a different beast really from all the other games. And the other games are more sophisticated with their music, but it scratches a different itch, you know? Like, Kojima wanted everything else to be more movie-like and cinematic, and Metal Gear Solid 1 is a fucking video game, and its soundtrack reflects that. It's not trying too hard.
It sounds a lot like Metal Gear 2.
I love that soundtrack, and I'm sad we lost it forever, you know?
So yeah, that's it for me this week. If you want to go down and see more Pat stuff, you can go to twitch.tv/PatStaresAt or follow me on Blue Sky at PatStaresAt, where you can see my really good skeets about dumb bullshit. And tomorrow's backlog and Friday is MGS2.
Sick.
And now I got to take a break to take this dog out.
BRB. hello. Let's take a quick word from our sponsors.
Let's.
This week, Castle Super Beast is sponsored by Raycon. And, hey, that is the wires that you need to get out of your life. We can't emphasize it enough.
Listen, man, I'm gaming, right? And I'm chasing a dog, a cat, a baby around. They're getting into trouble. If I was wired up, the likelihood of me tripping over myself would be nearly 100%.
It's just a liability, and there's no reason for it. Also, it's annoying, and it sucks. You can do better than that. Raycon's everyday earbuds. That's your perfect gym buddy. That's your little simple, easy solution. Getting 32-hour battery life, multi-point connectivity with a simple device that lets you pair two devices at once. So yeah, you can switch between having your Raycons hooked up to, let's say, your computer and or your phone, or multiple devices, whatever you need. Plus active noise cancellation. So that's a particularly useful feature, especially if you're like someone who's, if you like to kind of listen to stuff before you go to bed. I know that Punch Bum does, and yes, as do I as well. And the noise canceling is really great for kind of just drowning out the sound initially as you get ready for sleep. So getting that as well is usually pretty expensive, but Raycons are coming in starting at half the price of other premium audio brands.
That's crazy.
But with the same good quality. So you can check out the everyday earbuds. Got a bunch of different colors. I like the blue ones. They're nice and sleek, and they also are good for when I'm boxing, and they don't slip out when my ears start sweating. And yes, you wouldn't think so, but your ears can sweat.
Every part of your body can sweat.
Oh boy. Let me tell you something, brother. There's some new sweats I didn't know that I could sweat.
Yeah.
That I have discovered in working out hard. Indeed. So don't let your moisture affect your ability to listen to this podcast.
No. Don't let it.
Get 15% off site-wide at buyraycon.com/superbeast. That's 15% off at buyraycon.com/superbeast. Buyraycon.com/superbeast. And yeah, next time you're working out, give them a shot. See if you can shake and go crazy. I feel like I've been able to especially enjoy that feature and work up enough of a moist sweat and marvel at the fact that they stay in place.
That's crazy.
Thank you, Raycon.
Thanks, Raycon.
This week, don't boo me, brother. This week, the podcast is also sponsored by Shopify. Cha-ching is the sound of a sale on Shopify when you make it. And that is a very useful all-in-one commerce platform. If you've got a business, if you've got something that you're getting off the ground, you're starting out with some, if you're starting out with a t-shirt, if you're starting out with some stickers, some pins, whatever, or something much bigger than that. Everything these days that is convenient online usually has a back end, a cart, a checkout, that whole suite. And Shopify is the number one checkout on the internet, and it is incredibly easy to use and tracks all of the info to help you grow your business, from the smallest first couple of sales to the holy crap, did we just hit 1 million? Yeah, it was particularly useful as well when we were getting set up and figuring out how to go from a dumb old podcast to a t-shirt sale or two, and hooking that up as well with like the shop app, which I use on a regular basis for tracking what I have coming in and when to expect deliveries and stuff. sometimes, you kind of just are like, ooh, I didn't expect a package today. But other times I'm kind of listening out while I'm recording, like right now, to be like, do I have to run to the door or not? But you can just quickly check on the shop app and see like, oh yeah, we know what's coming and when it's arriving. So that's particularly useful. So by all means, be sure to get in on that. We also are talking about the powerful social media tools that help you connect all your channels and create posts that help you reach everyone who's scrolling through and checking out your stuff as well. So you can connect it to like the YouTube channel. You can connect it to the various places where your shop is hooked up. And if you have other channels, if you have other social media, etc., it's powering a lot of those as well. So established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/superbeast, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/superbeast to start selling with Shopify today. That's shopify.com/superbeast. Thanks, Shopify.
Thanks, Shopify. I love you.
And last but not least, this week the podcast is sponsored by ExpressVPN.
Oh, ExpressVPN. Tell me your magical, wonderful copy. Your ad copy that I love so much every time. What is using the internet unsecured like? Guy who works at ExpressVPN.
Using the internet without ExpressVPN. Well, you remember the good old days before Microsoft Word had autosave?
I do. Yes, I do.
You'd type out an important report and then your computer would freeze and you'd lose hours of work because you forgot to hit the save button. That's what it's like going online without ExpressVPN.
I lost at least 2 essays that I spent upwards of 60 minutes frantically writing before their due date, and had to use my remaining 60 minutes of time to redo them because of that exact problem. And that isn't directly applicable, but I remember that like in my stomach when that happened.
Yep. I've lost work, I've lost papers, I've lost essays, I've lost all kinds to not hitting the save button back in the day before we had autosave. But I don't think I've lost anything that major ever since the day that changed me, that I often refer to, the day that my brother wiped out my Mugen files, my FF7 progress, and all of my Dragon Ball gifts and my Raiden high scores. Ever since that day, I've become paranoid about not losing my progress. It changed me. It got me to stop caring about all of the above. Because I just didn't want to go back in and do it again.
But unlike that, you still care about internet security.
It's absolutely important. And to that end, ExpressVPN is super secure and super easy. It would take a hacker with a supercomputer over 1 billion years to get past ExpressVPN's encryption. Could you imagine sitting there at the heat death of the universe, finally going like, I did it! I'm invincible! And then you just get wiped out.
I can imagine that happened to me, yeah.
It's really easy to use. You fire up the app, you click one button, and you get started, and it'll work on all your devices, phones, laptops, tablets, and more, so you can stay secure on the go. Rated #1 by top tech reviewers like CNET and The Verge. Yeah, I know I regularly use it. My use case, besides security, is just straight up being like, I want to watch what I want to watch, and I want to play what I want to play. And just because I'm in a nation where there's currently no captain at the ship helm, just because we're currently rudderless, not that we had a rudder before now anyways, but I am not going to be told that being in Canada means that I can't watch me what I want to watch on YouTube, or I can't get me a game on Steam that happens to be available now in New Zealand. So, yeah, secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/superbeast. That's expressvpn.com/superbeast, and you can get an extra 4 months free. expressvpn.com/superbeast. Thanks, ExpressVPN.
Thanks, ExpressVPN.
Okie doke.
I'll tell you what. You know how much I actually really like using ExpressVPN?
Mm-hmm.
I recently discovered I was actually signed up to multiple simultaneous instances of ExpressVPN because I would go, man, I should get back on it. I should do that. I love using that. I should use it. And then forgot that I actually had kept it the whole time and used a different email.
Well, damn. Don't do that. All right. Well, hey, I mean, look, we all need to be fiscally responsible, right?
No.
Okay. Well, if you would like to, might I suggest perhaps finding a way to, launder some of that dirty money you're holding on to?
Oh, like TD?
Like maybe using Pokemon cards.
You know what? Yeah, okay. That sounds like, yeah, okay, because it's all appreciation and value over actual worthless things.
Actual former Yakuza executive explains how the Yakuza used Pokemon cards to launder money.
Of course. It's the pachinko racket, but with Pokemon cards.
100%. I mean, there's nothing else to. It's obvious. It's just like, yeah, you take your cash and you put it into something that's not as high risk. And Pokemon cards are easy to hide. You can take them overseas and store them there. You can't get tracked down. Basically, an interview was done with an anonymous Yakuza group executive who spoke to a Japanese news outlet and explained that a lot of business is covered using Pokemon cards. And the values are all, of course, because they're all worth different amounts and such. The highest value card was 5.2 million in 2021. I'm guessing it was a Charizard. And yeah, it's basically been a stable enough means that the Japanese underground can use them as a way of cleaning that money up and going back and forth.
That makes perfect sense. Absolutely. Okay, let's think. Do you want to go on an international flight with a briefcase full of cocaine or Pokemon cards?
Yeah. I mean, over here, exactly. It's you put it into an art piece, right? You buy a Banksy. Same bit, right? Just find something.
This art is just so good. Wow. This art. Wow.
Ignore the conspicuous shredder placed beneath the piece. That is Wi-Fi compatible. That has been hooked up to the. It
was awesome seeing those dudes get punked, though. That was great.
But then you have to imagine someone in the audience was standing there with the remote button, and then as soon as they pressed sold, they pressed it and did it. And you just kind of look around the room and it's like if they really wanted to, they could figure out which one of these fuckers did that. They could.
Yeah, but that's not art, bro.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's just funny to me because you would think this interview in this year would be like, oh yeah, we all put our money in crypto, but it's not. It's in physical Pokemon cards.
The ultimate proof of crypto and NFTs and all that shit's transience in the long term is that if crypto was like super good and the new way future, you would see like the mafia and the triads and the Yakuza and the Russians just like so in it. You would just know like Tony Lips every single fucking time you went to go trade.
Well, to be fair, the Russians are way in it, and anytime they hack and take over your channel, that's the first thing they're doing, you know.
Oh, is that Russians? Oh, bummer.
Oh yeah, all the FGC people that got their sites taken over were just like it immediately turns into like a Russian channel with like a live stream. That's
I'm glad that Ruffelmonger got his channel back like really fast.
Yeah, they like I heard that some people were having some bigger struggles with that. However, I'm glad that it was right on time for us to be at Holiday Matsuri, and then while he was on stage, he's going like, "Hey guys, what's up? I'm Ruffelmonger. I make fighting game YouTube videos, and I yelled out, 'You sell crypto!'" He's like, "I also sell crypto." Yeah. It was a good time. And then Lord Knight was running over to like his after he was running over to a casual station to play some games. And I walked up to him behind him, just like, "Hey, yo, man, I got some ETH for sale. You know anyone who's buying?" And he's just like, "Yeah, all right, man. All right, yeah, I got you. Yeah, okay, real funny."
I don't know, man. It just seems to me that if this thing was the future, then you wouldn't need to relentlessly criminally advertise it. That it would be something that people would seek out on their own.
Nah, dude, we need to take over their channels and force them to be these giant dump spaces for you, because you just don't know about the future yet. We're helping you. When we take over Obama's Twitter, and that's the first thing we do, is just post a wallet. Yeah, anyway. Well, look, maybe people have some extra money in their pockets now that Amazon has finally canceled the Mighty No. 9 3DS pre-orders. Right? Maybe you got a little bit of pocket change now that they've finally given you your money back.
So is that how many platforms did Mighty No. 9 just not come out on?
All but one? No?
Okay. So the 3DS
was that not the end state of affairs? I'm shocked because I didn't know that this was still a thing they were holding.
Someone somewhere went, "Wait, what the fuck is this?" And killed the account, I'm sure.
So, they don't charge. Amazon doesn't charge you until the actual order goes through. Oh, okay, all right. So yeah.
But still, though.
All right. It was just literally. It was a clerical bit in the system.
Living in our hearts.
Man,
Inafune fucking sucks so bad. Oh, I hate that guy.
I mean, if you did have one, yeah, it's been 9 years until they said,
"Yo, if you don't support Mighty No. 9, you're fucking stupid." Is that me that said that? I feel like it was. Regardless, oops.
We don't need enough. We've been reminded thoroughly about how the first episode of the Friendcasts is like, yeah, go support that. That's awesome. Mega Man's back. Inafune-san, don't die. Followed by also talking about one or two other, yeah. I mean, look, I will say this, that if anything, the timeline from the Friendcast through Castle Super Beast has been a clear path of Kickstarter in the games industry energy. That tracked the like, oh my god, we can fund the games ourselves and get what we want. This will fix everything. We'll just be able to do it ourselves from now on. That's awesome. And then every subsequent into the most recent, where nowadays if a Kickstarter for anything pops up, which it rarely ever does, it's like, hey, this looks kind of cool. Look at it and make your own decisions, maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to tell anybody to spend anything on a fucking Kickstarter that can't be trusted.
The hindsight that even the most like open and honest and straightforward Kickstarter was actually just funding a publisher pitch is like the biggest bummer ever.
Then there's
right? So
there's
like
that
Pillars
version.
of Eternity is like a really good example. I think both of those games came out great. They're not perfect, and they succeeded in all their stated goals. But those were just like funding campaigns to show, I think it was Paradox, that there was enough interest in the game to fund it.
Yeah, Shenmue obviously being the king of these like lie campaigns. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, there's like the standout is like Shovel Knight, of course. You know, like that's like the big, clear, honest winner of just like if they said what they were going to do, they did that, and then they did more, and great. No, you know, nothing else to say about it.
I think Undertale. I think Hat in Time.
But I'm like, it's almost like, so stuff like Undertale and that
Hollow Knight.
It almost like stops being thought about as a Kickstarter project after the success reaches a certain point, you know. But it's nice that there's these examples that we've been given. Okay, yeah, Star Citizen, rather Papers, Please, Yooka-Laylee, Spark the Electric Jester.
Oh, Baldur's Gate 3.
Awesome.
As somebody pointed out.
Awesome. It's, you know, this is nice. But like, it just sucks that the failures and the deceit and the non-accountability have just kind of made it a thing where you're like, yeah, I don't really trust this as much anymore, you know?
And to those of you who say, like, basically a lot of people hear like, oh man, I've been burned on Kickstarters, and now I have trouble trusting them, and they respond with a huge amount of games that were actually really high quality out of crowdfunding. So I'm seeing people say both Hades games. I'm seeing
Darkest
Psychonauts.
Dungeon. The list goes on.
Psychonauts 2 is actually maybe the worst example possible, because the Psychonauts 2 Fig campaign literally ran out of money, and the only reason that game got finished is because Microsoft bought Double Fine.
I don't think that we can, like, there's no shortage. There's a list we can keep going down of good games that have come out as a result of successful crowdfunding
Absolutely.
campaigns.
There's a huge amount of them, but the burns hurt
The
so
feeling
bad.
of you robbed me of $80 and did nothing.
Bro, I
sucks.
I don't even know, but when's the last time I got a Project Phoenix update in my fucking email?
God. That's it. It just sucks.
Let me see if I can find that.
And
Project.
and a lot of those good releases don't ease that burn of the lying crazy person that took your money and fucked off. You know, hey, guess what? Anyone who's been making content on the internet has had this discussion before. But the reason why you notice negative comments and like they stand out more than positives do is because
they feel twice as strong.
Because negativity is reinforced twice as strong in your brain, because we as human beings are trained to like see positives and take them at face value, but negatives are things to be reminded of, because in like for evolutionary purposes, something threatening to you would be much more dangerous than something positive, so you register bad things and threats, and they imprint stronger, right? So like,
it's called loss aversion.
It's a part of what being a human being is, and therefore losing one Kickstarter that robbed you is not going to make the successes feel better, even though there's many more of those, you know. It's part of what we are. So yeah. Mighty Number 9 3DS pre-orders released.
The saga is over.
Finally.
What do you think the timeline is for Inafune going to jail? Not in relation to Mighty Number 9. Just like, he seems like the kind of guy who's allegedly doing crimes.
Maybe when, I don't know, is Yuji Naka going to name him a co-defendant? Like,
yeah, fuck it, let's go.
When he gets wrapped up. Phoenix Wright style, they introduce a new witness. Maybe. I don't know. I imagine right around the time Shenmue 4 gets confirmed. Speaking of lies, deceit, jail,
all that good stuff,
and chicanery, Dokapon's Sword of Fury has been announced, And I'll tell you what, as someone who is like, as soon as Dokapon news comes out in any way, shape, or form, of course that immediately lands on the desk. I'm gonna say that I feel like almost like the original LPs were responsible for a Metal Wolf Chaos. You know how that directly ties to the re-release of Metal Wolf and Yakuza being popularized in the West. I'm gonna take a little bit of credit on Dokapon.
You should,
because I feel as if it seems like between there's my LP. There was the original Runaway Guys one that was pretty big. And then now with Eyepatch Wolf, I think like I'm taking credit for helping Dokapon get re-released out here and get localized. They did put out a Japanese only thing on the Switch, and this is kind of like the translation of it. But I feel like if I didn't start pushing Dokapon, we wouldn't be out here seeing these releases, you know?
So let me ask you a question. You would know. What is the difference between Dokapon Kingdom and Dokapon Sword of Fury? They're both board games.
So Dokapon has been an ongoing series that has different versions that have released over the years that you would think like Mario Party 2 and 3 and 4 would come to mind, but it's actually drastic in the terms of like there's usually massive art style and gameplay elements that are different here. The board itself is a completely different thing each time. The rules and the sub games you play, sometimes the classes change, sometimes the missions, and it's like just a different board game. But the only things that are consistent is you can fuck over everyone you love, in this game that is basically alternating between RPGing and Mario Party. But that's kind of the deal, because Dokapon Journey, for example, the 3DS one that we ended up doing was also like similar enough to Kingdom that you have your you have your basis, you know what I mean, like your same kind of grounded rules and classes and stuff, but it's like booting up, I don't know, FF9 versus FF10, right? You're just the rules are vaguely similar, but overall it's got a whole bunch of different crazy shit going on.
Sword of Fury is an older one. People are saying it's from 98.
Exactly. Sword of Fury is an older game that it got re-released on the Switch last year in Japan and is now getting ported and translated to other things.
And Dokapon Kingdom
was an original PlayStation 2 game that then got ported to the Wii, and then from the Wii got updated and released on Steam. So those are...
Which is the new one?
The new brand new is Dokapon cross Uwatare Mono. I keep getting that.
What's the English new one?
There is none.
Is it Kingdom?
But that's a modern re-release. Kingdom is a modern re-release. But yes, Utawareru Mono cross Dokapon is
Underwater Ray Romano. Thanks, Poluxor. Got it.
That's the only one that's like actually a new thing. Anyway, I
should teach my child to play Dokapon.
So lying is not enough then. Lying is not enough. We need to take it further.
We need to get him ready for this this dog-eat-dog world.
God, as he stands over your corpse, he looks down on you and goes, "Father," and then he puts his hands together. More, Father. Yes. So, apparently, alongside that, Transformers Reactivate has been officially canceled.
What was that?
That was my next question. That was okay, because I was like, okay, I'm seeing lots of news today about Transformers Reactivate has been canceled, and then I was like, the fuck is Transformers Reactivate?
It is a 1 to 4 player online action game developed by Splash Damage, coming to PC and consoles.
And then I see a trailer with some humans in it and some some pretty looking things, and it was announced at the Game Awards. And it's like, oh man, in 2022, was I in a
remember
a
looking
drunken
at this trailer and being like, "This is not real."
I'm like, was I in a drunken like Dorito stupor?
Yes, you were.
While that was happening. Okay, so yeah, I couldn't say much, but I guess it was anticipated. Well, look, okay, that looks pretty shiny.
Looks like a coffin now.
I thought I saw that this was mobile, but no, this was PC and consoles as well. Splash Damage. What studio is Splash Damage?
Oh, they used to do Return to Castle Wolfenstein, I think.
Okay.
I don't think they ever put out a single game that was bigger than... Wait, were they the motherfuckers by...
Master Chief Collection?
They did Brink! What a flop that piece of shit was! Oh, man.
Halo MCC and Gears 5? Oh...
I have not heard a single human being talk about Gears of War 5 in my entire life.
Oh, shit. Brink. That's the blue one, right?
And the red one.
Haze is the yellow one.
That's true.
Oh, man. The colors, dude. Like, remember them by their colors. Yeah, Brink is the blue one. That's the Kool-Aid one. Yeah, okay. Fuck. That's crazy. That's crazy. That, like, honestly, the entire game in my brain was just blue Kool-Aid. All right, perfect. Good. All right.
Fucking Brink, man. Didn't think I'd be talking about fucking Brink today.
So yeah, this one, just as I was going live, I saw this pop up here. Diablo 4 lead claims players don't actually want classic Diablo back as modern gamers are too consumptive.
Okay, let's not even go into this article at all because it's an overt lie.
Okay.
Like that is a crazy, stupid lie because Path of Exile exists.
So this is a story that I bring up for you to elaborate on here because I'm not in a position to speak on it. But the premise of the discussion was that in an interview, Ferguson explained that Blizzard did attempt to go back to the classic formula of Diablo 4. However, as players became used to the rapid progression of modern games, it became unfeasible, and basically describes
complete
that
garbage.
The Diablo formula doesn't work these days.
Complete fucking outright lies, pretending they're the only people in their own space. There's a ton of games on Steam. There's both Path of Exiles. But let's ignore that. Let's ignore all the factual incorrectness here. This is the same company that said, you think you want classic World of Warcraft, but you don't. For like 8 years. And now the only people I know playing WoW are playing classic WoW, including me.
Part of the quote here is also that the consumptive nature of a live service has made returning to classics, the classic series, impossible, while also being a sales success. But isn't the consumptive nature of live service directly what Blizzard has made popular?
Yeah, it's their fault.
Isn't that part of what World of Warcraft's entire rise to power has been?
Also, like, Path of Exile is classic Diablo, and it's also a live service game, and it's been trucking along happily for like, I don't know, like fucking 8 years. Like, it's, I mean, look, every single thing in this statement is a lie.
Well, if this person is speaking on behalf of themselves and not Diablo, then they could say something that is what the company that they're working for has done the opposite, or that demonstrated the opposite, certainly. But
like,
yeah,
it is a wildly lie. It's a wildly lie. It is a wildly big lie. Big untruths.
And people who've wanted the same just picked up, went elsewhere, and made their own version with blackjack and hookers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's tons of Diablo-style games. There's fucking what's the one where you're time traveling and there's dinosaurs? Last Epoch. There's both Path of Exiles. There's Torchlight. Like shit. Fuck off. There's Grim Dawn. Yeah, Grim Dawn rules.
And speaking of the old still having appeal, I didn't know this, but that Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver remaster, so recently, NoClip did a documentary about Legacy of Kain in general, and apparently the team behind that, the person who led it was Monika Erosova, who's basically someone that made their own fan remaster and then officially got hired for the gig to do this and showed up and had their own, besides extensive knowledge of the game, she also had her own collection of 4,500 textures from Soul Reaver 1.
Awesome.
And
great.
Thousands of textures from Soul Reaver 2, and just
fantastic.
Showed up with the assets and went to work.
No one could ever be more qualified.
That is crazy. Was already known as somebody in the community that just was doing it themselves anyway, and she just kind of she was the only person this qualified for the gig.
That would explain something that's going on with the Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remaster, because one of the things that they put in there that I only found out about recently was that they have restored cut levels to those games. But they are not integrated. That you go to a menu of lost content.
Okay. And
you can load into the human city. But they are as they were.
Incomplete.
So there is no guarantee you won't walk forward and fall through the floor in one step.
KOTOR 2 cut content. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is properly unfinished shit.
Okay.
But they're like, do you want to roll around in the dev environment? Fucking go for it.
If you really love the game, then you might, Yeah, okay. So find that one person online with the hyperfixation and give them the fucking job.
I don't know what the gentleman that redid every single texture in Resident Evil 4 is up to, but that dude did 7 years and traveled around the world to find new textures for RE4. I'm sure he's doing something cool with that technical expertise.
One would hope, at the very least, that the people who make the decisions are paying attention. Yeah. That's pretty sick. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so if you have a guy in your team and you're making your Kiryu game, and there's a guy over there getting all stick in the head over Virtua Fighter, let him do the Virtua Fighter shit. Just give it to that guy.
Yeah. Or if you don't, say why. How about that? You know? I said, or.
Oh, yeah.
Or, just give a heads up. What's going on if you decide not to for any reason?
Oh, motherfuckers.
Son of a bitch. Just let me know what's going on.
Absolute pieces of shit.
Just tell me what's up. That's all.
Just god awful.
I just want to know what's going on. It's fine. It's okay. No worries. Talk to me. Let's talk. Let's open up communication lines. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a blast from the past.
See,
all right.
Every once in a while, there might be a time where one of us opens up our communication lines and sees, check your fucking email. you know. But hey, anyways,
every now and then.
Speaking of a blast from the past, Notch has basically announced Minecraft 2.
Yeah, he's sick of being bored, rich, and unliked, and would like to go back to the thing that he made that made people like him.
But like, as Minecraft has basically just become a platform of sorts, can you even drop that in a way that would, like, take the same like level of attention and impact that the first one did?
Minecraft is about as lightning in a bottle as it's ever gotten.
Well, I was going to say that the second strike of that, from what I feel from talking to, again, nephews and stuff, is that Roblox is the thing that comes along and takes that thunder.
Also, doesn't Microsoft own Minecraft? Can you even do a Minecraft 2?
I mean,
No, Wooly.
There's a different way to spell the game, Pat.
No, we're not doing that.
I'm just changing the placement of the E and the I.
You're not doing it.
What's the problem with replacing the letter spelling? I'm taking the E and I'm moving it a little bit earlier into the word. What's the problem?
Playing Meinkraft on the fucking bus and shaking my head the whole time so everyone knows I'm disapproving.
Disapprovingly playing Minecraft.
Oh, there it is.
All right. Okay, good. Sometimes you don't even have to say the title for the title to arise. It's kind of magic. I'm a fan.
I still remember, like, fucking Notch bought a super mansion. I think he bought the house next to Jay-Z's house.
No. He bought the house that Jay-Z wanted.
Oh, yeah.
And Jay-Z...
And then he moved in, and he's like, I don't know anyone in this neighborhood, and all of Jay-Z's people hate my fucking guts. And I don't have any friends. And everyone's like, why did you move away from every person in your life to go have a rich mansion in a city you've never been to? You idiot.
See, but I still love the idea of Jay-Z in the windows leaning in, being like, it's your boy, let me in. Yeah, so, yeah. All right. Well, anyway. Speaking of shitty things. Hey. So, last we heard, there was the potential for a international lawsuit involving Indonesia working with Ubisoft a couple years ago, with everything revolving around Skull and Bones. We have since seen a new report come out from People Make Games, basically describing that the level of abuse towards employees at the Indonesian studio Brandoville.
So I want to point out that Singapore was the place that...
Excuse me, my mistake. I'm sorry. You're right. That was, yeah. So this is specifically for Brandoville, a company that was used to support Age of Empires 4 and Ass Creed Shadows.
Oh, that game's just so full of good news all the time.
Was reporting on crunch culture and the industry's reliance on outsourcing for external developers to meet deadlines. And
well, I mean, we've heard crunch stories before. How bad could this one be?
This one involves literally people, like, there's work crunch abuse, and then there's actual, like, physical abuse.
Yeah, there are deaths in this story.
People being crunched and then being forced to, like, film themselves, and they micromanaged how much time they were allowed to sleep. imposing
Send me a video of yourself slapping yourself 100 times.
Imposing daily Christian worship, making people write lines, daily check-ins over in one case someone's outfits as part of quality control and humiliating them in front of colleagues. Literally just like fucking heinous like level shit. Another employee, where was that? Sorry, I lost my page. Yeah, someone literally lost a pregnancy.
No, it was her. She was overworked to the point of her baby being delivered
prematurely,
and then it later passed.
And then 4 months later, died in intensive care. Yes.
And then when she was like, "I'm kind of bummed out about my horrible tragedy," they're like, "Get into fucking work."
And yeah, and it goes on. It's pretty fucking disgusting.
It's the worst I've ever heard.
Where it's like, this is games? Is this the same industry?
This is cult nightmare shit.
Yeah, and effectively the it seems this is all at the hands of Cherry Lai, who was more or less the large enabler and person in charge of a lot of what happened here.
Ubisoft has published a statement which reads like, "Oh man, that's crazy, bummer. Didn't know about it though."
Yeah, essentially just outsourced a literal like abuse slave factory. I don't even really know what you can say there. There is a further look into it if you check out where's the video? 100 slaps. The breaking news. Breaking the news game on the games industry. Breaking news the games industry ignored in 2024. That I think goes into some of that. Yeah,
bringing my dog onto the show for better vibes.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about like the state of Ubi, you know, and how things have been pretty, I guess, business-wise, fiscally dire, and the idea that, like, you know, they're disputing over what's going to trade hands and where the business and where the games are going to end up and shit like that. This is people need to go to jail, and if they don't, I don't know what the fuck to say. This is going well beyond the realm of, oh, stupid fucking video game, haha, look at the company make a dumb release.
Yeah,
type
baby
shit.
died.
There's not much else to say there. Just literally lock people up. Not much else to say, but if you'd like to know more, you can look into what's going on there. With Brandoville was the name of the studio. Yeah, and if you are outsourcing any of your work to any international studios anywhere, do your fucking research. Do some homework. Find out who you're working with.
Is it not customary to send people down there every now and then? Make sure they're not like a fucking sweatshop or slavery ring or cult.
Make sure they don't come back with like scars and bleeding and stab wounds from just, you know, scouting out the area and seeing what's going on. Or is it just how affordable would it be for the man hours, you know?
Hey, listen, that number's got to go up, bitch.
Yeah. So, this is,
you know, I'm actually
this is one of those
roll back on that statement.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like, yes, the number has to go up, yada yada, but like, One of the things that's of note here is that despite the fact that this company was used by many developers, Ubisoft is the one in the tagline, probably because this studio also helped work on Assassin's Creed Shadows. And I think it's because Ubisoft has a long history of like not giving a fuck what's going on in their satellite studios.
When you scale up to a certain size, yes.
And like not even giving a shit if they do anything or ship anything, or like the fucking Skull and Bone studio was used as a vacation spot for French directors.
What I would say is that, like, even though the conclusion of this story is that Brandoville did shut down some months ago, like, okay, and what about what the fuck happened to all the people that are in this that described individually the shit they went through? Like, a company shutting down and or someone getting fired is not the same as people
Legit.
getting locked the fuck up for abusing people and yeah, like that's in the same way that the Ubi, like, I'm gonna move someone from one studio to another and change their job after they physically abuse somebody type shit. It's like, why are we treating the corporate job punishment the same as a legal ramification, you know?
Well, I mean, it's the fucking Catholic priest run.
Which is what I've called it each time. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's the same gimmick. Just move them far enough away and change their name just a little bit.
The punishment is that you no longer have that congregation that you grew so attached to, and that's punishment enough. Anyway, yeah.
Ubisoft is strange in that they have actually like let a lot of this go on for so long. Like literally every person I've ever talked to who has worked with Ubisoft has mentioned there being problems with the staff and how a bunch of them are really creepy and empowered to the point where it's like really actively harmful to their business.
Yep.
All the time.
People that literally are working there all have the version of what happened in their department. And the incident. Or, that guy that's no longer, or whatever. It's constant. Yeah. I was trying to, while we were talking here, track down, like, whether this was all while working specifically on their games or if it was from others. But, like, yeah, if it was outsourcing through contracts with other companies as well. Mm-hmm. They did some work on Last of Us.
Well, that feels appropriate.
They did some work on a number of AAA projects as well. Age of Empires 4, Assassin's Creed Shadows, and Last of Us Part 1 Remake are the biggest things they've worked on. Yeah. They helped on FF7 Remake.
Yeah.
So they were all over the place. They were all over the place. They worked with quite a few people. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Hopefully follow-up stories with sentencings will occur.
And at some point, some bean counter at most of the places we've just described are going, oh, damn it. Super annoying that this hit the news. Oh. All right. Well. Back to doing numbers while being a functioning alcoholic.
Yeah, you have to, of course, imagine that for, the people that were willing to talk about this shit and contribute to these stories, there's always people that are not willing to, right? Mm-hmm. So.
Or whom are dead. Like, who the fuck knows?
I'm hoping that we can follow and find out more as time goes on. All right. How about a letter or two?
Oh, before that, there was Virtua Fighter stuff this week, actually.
Was anything announced at the NVIDIA thing?
Yes. They showed off the pre-development teaser for Virtua Fighter. They essentially the what do you call it, the sizzle reel for the company. and it's where that leaked screenshot came from, the one with the bar.
Oh.
And it no longer has a bar. So the bar is gone. They also show like a gigantic city area. They say they made quite quickly.
People have probably gotten fired.
And it is a concept reel. It is not real gameplay. Like, it is all very highly choreographed, but it is definitely showing off that, like, yes, like dedicated blocking and animations are like a big deal for it. But the other thing is that there's a camera cut. There's like a reversal, and Akira, like in his reversal animation, kicks the other guy all the way across the screen, and it has a dedicated camera cut, like Dead or Alive.
Okay. Kind of waiting for like a content announcement, game character system thing. You know, the NVIDIA tech demo stuff is not as. I'm hoping that they get, you know, closer to talking about the actual game, but they might be really far away from that at this point. And
it's possible. The NVIDIA reiterates that they love Virtua Fighter, and they're super excited to be working with Sega to make really fancy looking Virtua Fighter.
Yeah, show me the game. I don't care about this shit. Show me the fucking game. Like, whatever.
No, that's probably months away.
Yeah,
that's probably going to be at Evo.
Okay.
Frosty Faustings maybe. Right, because they're going to have that at VF5 Revo. Is going to be at Faustings?
Yeah, that's happening in late January, yes. Okay.
But now let's read an email. Sorry, I had to talk about Virtua Fighter.
No. By all means, you're only going to get one shot.
No, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. There will be dozens, if not hundreds, of opportunities to talk about Virtua Fighter over the ensuing years from now. At least once a year at every Evo until the day that we die.
CastleSuperBeastMail@gmail.com. That's CastleSuperBeastMail@gmail.com. From Addie says, Dear Pat Drake and Woolaman, I've recently come into the knowledge that people lovingly refer to Silk Song as skong. What do you got on these semi-official abbreviations? I mean, yes.
Yo, Shart, don't kill the night song.
Shart's top of the list.
Top of the list.
And yeah, FemC is also pretty fucking good. I've never heard it called skong, and
not even once. Never heard it.
But someone just wrote scrim, and god damn it if I don't immediately know what that is.
Yeah.
It's a little too close to scrum though.
FemShep is someone who posted, and that feels like, oh yeah, you know what? X-Bone's the all-time greatest.
X-Bone. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I've been playing Metal Gear. So people keep asking me why I keep calling portable ops poops instead of pops.
Mm-hmm.
Also because P-O for portable.
Po-ops, yeah.
Po-ops, poops.
Yeah, no, but I'm my favorite is of course the, you know, my nomenclature from Devil May Cry. I'm gonna take that as my credit. The Porbs, Rorbs.
The
Blorbs and Gorbs.
Hey, okay, we never talked about this. I don't think we did. Out of all the stupid names that we came up with for those orbs, which is your favorite?
I mean, there's something just onomatopoeic about Porbs.
Okay, so I'm torn. I think Blorb is the funniest to say.
Blorb is, yeah.
But I think Rorb is so dog shit, like it doesn't work in your mouth at all.
Rorb,
and the fact that we forced it is so stupid.
Rorb does not roll off the tongue. Blorb sounds like something someone's already said when trying to say blob. You know,
but Porb, that's
I like Porb because Because that's what, you can porb it up. We can get porby up in here. Like,
oh, we got somebody saying that Rorb still lives strong. I see it in every Devil May Cry stream, regardless of what game it is in the series or who the streamer is.
That's good shit.
Yeah, we infected the world with this dumb shit.
Good. Don Guri does combo videos. We name the Rorbs. We named the orbs. Damn straight.
That's good, Wooly. That was really good work.
That's the legacy right there. Professional. All right, let's take one over here. Link says, "Dear Rotisserie Wooly and Tucked In Pat, Sleepy Edition."
Oh, you know it. I had to stop tucking the sheets in.
Oh yeah,
because the dog fell off the bed and got trapped in the sheets.
Because
we were afraid he was gonna suffocate.
Oh, because the tuck kept him in underneath. Yeah. Oh, that's a lethal tuck. Yeah, you can't do that. Man.
And Paige was like, "Oh no, he's suffocating," and I'm like, "No, he's not."
He's
and then I picked him up and he was fine. But so yeah, we're not allowed to tuck in the sheets anymore.
I mean, it is kind of just like a really comfy hammock, but you need air, so you got to untuck.
Oh.
I've seen and enjoyed Wooly's playthrough of Ace Attorney. It reminded me. Thank you. It reminded me of when I watched my cousin play, who ran into the same issue of getting ahead of the logic of the game and having to wait for it to get there. And I had already reached 10 dialogue. I had already reached it 10 dialogue boxes ago.
Yeah, no, that's universal. You always get past Nick. It's the way it works.
Have you played other games that have tripped you up because you were thinking further ahead than the game kept up with? So I mean, it's kind of the same thing, but yeah, I would say Danganronpa is also got the same issue. Any game where the logic of the characters discovering things is meant to be like the plot progression.
There's always the part where there's the extra step that you view as obvious,
but the game treats it as a really big deal, and the character has to go, who could have done it? Danganronpa, that happens a lot, and it's like, I know what happened and I know how it happened, but the game cares about why or so, and like it cares about two objects that don't matter that much, but they're going to establish a train of thought, but what I will say is that what Danganronpa does do in its mini games while you're arguing, like Phoenix Wright, you're just pointing out the contradictions. But in Danganronpa, that's one of many different things you can do to argue, and there's one that's like a train of thought where you drive a car through some logical conclusions and then go, okay, well, if A is B, then C must D, and like you drive into each letter to kind of follow where the game's supposed to lead your thought process to get them on in that specific way. So yeah, that's probably the biggest one I'd say.
I mean, I'd say Phoenix, right? Like that's the one that I can remember just being like, God damn it. Because it's always the part where the judge is, you're like, I have conclusive evidence that this person is the killer, and they're like, but you also have conclusive evidence that your client is not the killer,
right?
Also,
what is this? A fucking civil suit? What are we doing here?
I have a video of the guy committing the crime. What do I need? Why do I have to prove a negative now? This is stupid.
You are fiscally responsible for murder. Dear Beast Lords,
what's up, man?
Throwing one out there for thought, but every passing day, especially with the NVIDIA CES conference, I find myself agreeing with the humans in the Matrix more and more. We should discriminate against AI and robots. Fuck them. What's been your most recent encounter with the frustration of AI and their increasing invasion into the human experience? My most recent example has been now every time you do a Google search, you have to scroll past the fucking horse shit that's
Hey, do you want a wrong answer?
Up top, front and center.
Do you want a wrong answer right away that you can't trust?
But it's top, front, and center every time. And that's for your parents. That's for, and the convenience and such means that it's just like, yeah, that's the world now. That's the default. It's it's here, it's unavoidable, it's here, but it's what the default answer is. And like my mom can't tell the difference between the search result and a sponsored result and a question answered down tab and the fucking AI generated one. Like, it's all like I asked into the box and I read the text that gave me the info. I don't know. She's still double clicking on links and single clicking on the desktop. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, man.
This reminds me, I watched a video in which somebody was talking. They were a teacher in high school, and they ran into a student that was wrote in a paper they wrote that Greek is the combination of 4 pre-existing languages. And the teacher's like, that is nonsense. That's not true. If anything, it's like derived from Aramaic. And
yeah, but biblically
he goes to the kid
that.
and he's like, where did you even look this up? And he goes, here. And he pulls up ChatGPT and goes, is Greek is a combination of 4 different languages? And it goes, yes, it is. And just a bunch of bullshit. And the teacher describes that he found it impossible to break through the inertia of the kid going, but I looked it up.
But it's right there.
But I look.
That's what looking it up means.
I'm supposed to look it up. You guys tell me to look things up, so I looked it up. And you're telling me that I'm supposed to believe you over like the whole internet?
And guess what? That kid is not wrong because they were trained to be like, I looked into it and this is what it said. And now you're like, oh, but now we have to teach you how to parse the source that you're taking it from. And like, and I mean, at one point in time, even going and sourcing Wikipedia was questionable because it's like, well, it's Wikipedia. Anyone can edit that. We don't know for certain. You know,
turns out it's actually really reliable.
Turns out, right now, years later. But like those first couple years, it was like, yeah, fucking Wikipedia, get out of here. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know? The world is, that's it now, man. You're going to have to scroll past those words. And, you know, kind of like how, and it's the, what was it? Like we talked about the investor buzzwords, you know, and like, so AI is the current investor buzzword, but it's working. And people are making tons of money by using that word and
are they?
Yes, right? When Game Shark is like, nah, we're Shark AI or whatever. Like it literally like everything gets to just drop the words powered by AI into their pitch, and that's enough for people who are invested to get happy.
Does it get so here's I have a genuine like question, and I don't know if either of us have the economic background, which is, does that make money or does it get investment? Because those are different.
It raises confidence on part of shareholders.
Okay, so it drives investment.
That's it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It does not make money.
No. It raises confidence. Yes.
That is such a big distinction.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because like we've got AI centers like screwing up the American power grid and shit like that because they're super expensive. But the only reason they get to keep running is because of, well, we have to keep investing in it because if it's the next big thing, you know, like crypto and NFTs and all the shit, then we need to be the top of the next big thing.
Yeah. Look, I've you know, I feel like I've said a couple times, like, I'm that person who says reject all cookies, and then when you make a really annoying series of drop-down menus where it's like, well, if you want to reject all these cookies, you're gonna have to click these all off manually. I'll be like, I got time, and I will go down each one and be like, fuck off. Now let me read the website. I don't expect other people to necessarily be willing to do that, and I know that the convenience of, like, at one point it was opt-in, and now it's become opt-out, right?
Yeah,
it's not opting in towards the AI answer. You have to opt out of it. You have to opt out of your YouTube channel being added to that search result. You have to opt out of your fucking Facebook or whatever the shit is by going to find the obscure little click in the back button of your settings somewhere. You know,
I do feel comfortable that like everyone's like AI is going to ruin everything forever. No, it's going to ruin a ton of shit for a while. and then the bubble will burst and tons of people will lose their jobs. But once it becomes obvious that AI can't make any money, they'll move on to the next digital scam.
That's where I disagree. I think it's going to do all of those things, but I think it's not going to burst and stop being used. I think it's just going to be a part of life from here on out.
I don't know, because it costs an exponential amount of money every second to even keep it on. If it doesn't make any money, you're losing money every second. Investor money only goes so far.
It only goes so far. That is true. And then, but when we learn about things about how like certain, when it comes to like large social media sites, it's more worth it to hold it while losing money because you're denying a competitor the opportunity to step into that space. So like loss leading in a completely different sense becomes a practical business strategy. Then you're like, well, what are we considering a profit at this point, you know?
All right. Overworked parents of the world, not only do you have to not give your child the iPad and do all the normal parent stuff, you now have to teach your child how to suss out fraudulent data from searches, something that most of you can't even do because it's hard.
It's really, really hard. And it's like, it sucks, but it's kind of like little tricks, like typing something in and then scrolling past everything that says sponsored, right? And then the questions when it says, okay, it's going to like what is it linking to a Quora, to a Reddit? Okay, what Reddit is this? Who are the people? No, fuck that. Okay, which of these results is actually a source that you know what I mean? And like, it's like all these little extra things that you just like, oh, you just learned this by spending a lifetime on the internet, which can't expect. Willie,
our lifetime on the internet is different from the kids' lifetime on the internet.
Of course. Starting here is way different.
I'm on, now that I'm an adult man with a little baby, I'm on like parenting TikTok, which is all teachers talking about how the kids can't read. And an anecdote from a teacher in the US that is the most nightmarish shit I've ever heard in my life is kids are so illiterate by grade 10, they don't even text message anymore. They voice
text, yep.
And have the
voice text
and have Siri read the text back out.
Yep. I remember when my mom switched over to that because her words stopped being in all caps. And like it turns out she stopped using 18 exclamation marks. And it was because she switched over to voice texting. Yeah, fucked.
Board games and churning butter and bicycles for my child.
So you know what then? That 8-year-old at the D&D session is getting a chance to use their imagination and play an analog game with real people in meat space.
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely.
Not a bad call.
Yep, you're completely right.
See you next week.
Bye, everybody.